Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph. It is going to be November 10th soon.
Yeah.
The year is almost over.
It's so crazy.
It is crazy how time works.
Yeah. Day by day.
Day by day. We're going to talk about time in a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Loki.
The Loki season finale was all about time. Oh, the whole series was about time, but
yeah, but this one was a lot of time. Lots of time on this one.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna before we get into anything, what are we gonna talk about this week? Or this episode this week of
a lot of topics. We're gonna talk about Loki, the season finale of Loki, maybe the series finale, but the season finale for sure.
Yep.
The ending of the actors' strike, which is welcome news. We're going to talk about the election results, and specifically, we're going to talk about the election results from Ohio and Pennsylvania and Kentucky, and some various school board races. Then we're going to talk about the GOP debate, and we got the 5 candidates that participated: Vivek Ramaswamy, Tim Scott,
Tim Scott,
Chris Christie, Booster Seat Ron. Ron
the dumbass,
and Nikki Haley,
Madam President,
and then basically, and then we're going to talk about some big news out of West Virginia, and this time it does not involve an orc uprising as news out of West Virginia.
Oh, we were going to talk. You did this all out of order, dude.
This is the order I
sent over. We're going to talk about the election first, the results.
Yeah.
Oh, you said that?
Yeah.
And you said the primary?
Yes.
It's so much going on. I'm actually I was a variant, a time variant.
Right.
And I was out. I'm back. Sorry, Joe.
Very good. And then we're talking about Joe Manchin retiring to spend Joe Manchin.
Yeah, he's gonna spend more time on his yacht.
He's gonna spend more time with his cash.
Yacht mansion.
God. We're talking about James Comer, who is investigating I guess Joe Biden's loan, $200,000.
And who is this guy? I don't think many people know who this guy is.
Yes, he's a congressperson from Kentucky, and he's the chairperson of the GOP House Oversight Committee.
See, the thing is, there's these cast of characters in the Republican Party that we will talk a lot because they make a lot of noise for themselves, like Boebert and Gates and Green. Like they get, and Trump, obviously, they all want attention. So we give it to them because we're suckers. But then there's guys like this who we don't know who these fucking people are. Yeah. They always like pop their head in here and there, and that's this guy. Like, maybe there's some Comer maniacs listening to this, Comernacks that are like, about fucking time.
They show up, their big signatures, they all like have a comb, and then they in the crowd they just start combing their hair.
Yeah, they dress up like the Fonz. It makes no sense.
Yes. So we're talking about him. We're talking about Lauren Boebert, who's always good for a laugh.
This is about her not understanding her actual job.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk about Sarah Huckabee Sanders, just doubling down and getting in pretty deep with this podium thing. And then we're going to talk about Mike Johnson's porn monitoring agreement with his son.
Yeah, him and his son agreed to monitor each other's porn habits.
Yeah.
Not creepy at all. Mike Johnson, just in case you guys are wondering, that is the Speaker of the House. He is second in line to the presidency.
Yeah.
If something would happen to Biden or Kamala Harris, he would be the president of the United States. This weird little freak.
He is so weird. And
creepy.
Yeah, in case I hope I don't forget to talk about it at the end, but they've revealed now he doesn't have a bank account.
Yeah, that's bullshit. He's not. I heard that.
Yeah,
make sure you save this because I think the whole thing make a note or whatever. Like, we gotta make sure we talk about that. I think that this guy's corrupt as fuck. He has money like tied in somewhere, like in the church or something.
Yeah,
He's one of
yeah,
those people who's like fully invested, probably in like a church, and it's all corrupt. The whole
yeah,
thing is like just
yeah.
a
That's my guess.
tax shelter and everything. Even this like, because the thing is about this monitoring the porn thing. It's some app he was pushing or
Yeah,
something.
the Covenant Eyes or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's like sound like something out of fucking Handmaid's Tale.
it
But then
totally
again, he
does.
is something out of
Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale. All
All right.
right.
Well, all right. So, but we're gonna start with an interesting news article that you sent to me today.
And this is something me and you have talked about.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this article is basically just pointing out something that we said was going to happen at
Right.
some point because of all the hysteria of anti-vaxxers over the
Right.
years. Like, since with COVID, they like quadrupled down. They have the anti-vaxxers have a bigger, with guys like Joe Rogan,
Mm-hmm.
Robert Kennedy, who was running for president as an independent now.
Yes.
And pretty much like the right wing of this country, most of the right wing, the GOP, like adopting a anti-vax uh,
Yeah.
policies. That like Ron DeSantis, we'll talk about that in a little later, but like at the debate stage, he was talking about how he's not going to have any vaccine mandates or anything. Like, it's just insane. It's
Yeah.
like absolutely
Well,
crazy. You should, even if you don't have a vaccine mandate, you should be encouraging people to get vaccinated. And
I
he is doing the opposite.
yeah, I think the only success they've had at the ballot in the last ever since Trump got elected, the only success they've had is when they fight against masks and
It was mostly,
vaccines.
yeah, the inconvenience of having to
And
wear a mask when
yes.
you go indoors somewhere for like
And
a little bit.
and so they started bad mouthing the COVID vaccine, and their chud followers just translated that to all vaccines,
Yep.
and the
Which is
Republicans didn't
what you knew
care.
was going to happen.
Yeah, the
And
Republicans are like, well, who cares? Because this is
make
how I
sure to
stay in
add
power.
Youngkin because you don't have him on the list
Oh
for
yeah. Well,
Youngkin
he's.
lost big. Do you
Oh
have
yeah,
Virginia?
Virginia. No, I don't. I
Okay,
don't have
good.
Virginia.
Yeah,
Um.
that was a huge one. That was
Yeah.
that said that pretty much synced his
Yeah. It
that
did.
synced his political aspirations.
Well, yeah. We'll get. I'll
I think
make.
he was going to enter. He was going to enter the presidency if, like, he won both the House and the Senate in Virginia.
Yeah.
He would
I
have like announced his run.
I'm confident of that. Well, I'll make sure we add that when we talk about the election
Okay,
results.
so NBC News put out a thing earlier today. I saw it on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. The number of kids. Here's the headline: NBC News. CDC reports highest childhood vaccine exception rate ever in the U.S. 40 states saw rises in parents citing religious or other personal concerns for not vaccinating their young children. It's insane.
Yeah.
Number of kids who caregivers are opting them out of routine childhood vaccines has reached an all-time high. Senators, I mean, this is insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically been a long time since chickenpox has been like a big deal, and kids are going to start getting chickenpox again.
Yeah,
it's like crazy,
Yeah. This is the kind of shit that, and I tweeted something about it. Like, well, it said the report did not dive into the reasons for the increase, but experts say the findings clearly reflect American growing unease about medicine in general. No, that's not it. There's so much right-wing anti-vaxxer propaganda on like literally all the right-wing networks, all the right-wing personalities, even guys like Bill Maher, fucking Woody Harrelson was on SNL last year or early this year, and he was like basically talking about the vaccine as if it was some kind of poison on in his monologue. I mean, like, there's too many, like, I mean, what I don't know, fuck knows. I mean, there's so many like big name people that are pushing people towards being negligent. And people don't, if you tell someone they don't have to do something or make them feel like they don't have to do something, people are like, I don't want to take my kid to the doctor, I don't have to do this, I don't have to pay this bill. I don't have to pay for these vaccines. Oh, good. Now I have an excuse. Joe Rogan told me it's all poison.
Yeah. Well,
Joe
I think
Rogan recently, he's been one of the biggest advocates for anti-vaxxers. He claimed it was just the COVID one, but now it's pretty much just more like you said. Talk about one, it ends up being all of them.
yeah, that's the thing, is that a lot of these people aren't going to hear COVID vaccine or mRNA vaccine or whatever. They're just going to hear the word vaccine and they don't want any part of it.
Well, they like to get their news from the guy who who poisoned himself from eating too many fish. He got sick from eating too many sardines constantly.
Yeah.
Dude, he must smell.
Oh man,
dude,
he probably
rancid.
He's going to his doctor and they're like, "You have mercury poisoning."
Why do you smell like the fucking fish section at the A&P? Like, what the fuck, Joe? What are you doing? That's just skin blue.
But those people,
vaccines are full of poison. That's why I eat 40 cans of sardines a week.
Well,
I ate a can that was 20 years old.
I mean, just the whole idea that you would can meat and like it would stick.
Well, I mean, like, there's a reason for it, and sustainability, and God forbid something happens, you have food that could last.
Yeah,
edible food that will last you. Obviously, sure. It is. I hurt my years ago. I was eating like a lot of like canned meat for like lunch, like every day, and I started getting like horrible. I had like IBS to begin with, so I had like horrible pains, and I was like, okay, it's just I'm eating too much processed shit. It's not good. Yeah. I said, it's good to have as food, but you shouldn't eat it every day.
Yeah, look, if I'm in some sort of post-apocalyptic wasteland and all that's left is a can of beefaroni,
a pepper bucket that I bought from Tim Pool,
then of course I'm having a can of beefaroni.
Share that with the horse from that Seinfeld.
Right. No, fucking Franco-American products. I'd rather die. But
those are gross. Jeopardy, that's a chef.
Yeah, he's an actual chef.
Yeah, not some fucking circle-faced cartoon character with their bullshit Vienna sausage meatballs.
And why would Franco-American make Italian products anyway? That makes no sense, So anyway,
yeah, well, I mean, like. Chef Boyardee, that's an
Italian name. Yeah. I would buy perhaps a Franco-American croissant, but no. So yeah, this is like the sad part, or the tragedy here is that the victims of this aren't the chuds themselves making decisions. It's like
Joe Rogan's rich as fuck, and
it's the kids.
The same thing. He has tons of money to like throw. Like he said when he got COVID, he's like, yeah, threw the kitchen sink at. Yeah, because you're rich as fuck.
Right, and you can afford to take a week off work. You don't really have to go anywhere. You can sleep in. It's apples and oranges.
Remember, the main reason why a lot of these right wingers really pushed against the vaccine was because the vaccine was free. Yeah. Now, of course, some idiot will say it wasn't free because it was free when I got there. I don't know what I pay taxes and that money goes there. I don't sit there. They don't give me a receipt. I have no idea where the money's going. I went to this place. They didn't charge me anything.
It was as free as all the grapes between the produce section and the cash register. I mean, it was.
You're Joseph. That's not how it worked. When I was a little kid, I used to always take those candies.
Yeah.
And then someone told me, yeah, that's stealing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'd have at least 12 of them when I was a little kid. No one stopped me.
Certainly someone would say something.
They probably were like, that's a weird little kid. I don't want. That might be the child from Mad Max.
Right, Feral Boy.
The feral child.
Yeah, the kid that would retrieve the boomerang for Humongous.
Razor boomerang. Yeah, he'll throw it and cut my fingers off. That always freaked me out. That guy who tries to catch his.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you're right. They did hate the.
They didn't want anyone getting used to the idea of free healthcare.
And they didn't want the government involved in the production or the soliciting of the vaccine. I mean,
even though it was all done through private companies and private businesses made buco bucks with it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think it's I don't think it's going to backfire on them per se, but that article, because I saw that article, I think it's like it's a bullshit way of saying, like, it's a bullshit way of phrasing it. If you, now I don't know this for a fact, but my suspicion is that you could say, like, 40% of all Americans are suspicious of vaccines, but a more accurate way to say that would be that 90% of Republicans are suspicious of
Yeah,
vaccines and
exactly.
10% of Democrats are suspicious. I mean, like, that's, it's not exactly the way they're phrasing it.
No, they're making it like just like, oh, there's this thing where all these people are they're
Yeah.
not getting vaccinated, and there's a large group, and we just don't know why.
This is not an American problem. This is a right-wing problem. Like my kids got all their vaccines, like all of them. So I know that all of our kids are at risk from unvaccinated kids because vaccines aren't like foolproof.
They only
I mean,
work when it works like anything else. Like the joke is that all these clowns would tell you to just go get. I remember this too. Like this was like after the vaccine was out for a while, and guys like Rogan would be like telling young people go out and get COVID,
yeah,
not the
nice,
vaccine.
good
They're
plan.
like, oh, you're gonna build up the immunity. It's like, what? That's insane. These people might destroy their like
Right.
reproductive organs and all that shit. Like, you don't know what the like. And the funny thing is, like, they're telling him to do the thing that the COVID vaccine does for you, which
Right.
is it gives you it puts something in your body that it's a protein that repels the virus.
Yeah.
And the more people that have it build up, and it's insane.
It is bananas.
It's so dangerous. But I said in my tweet, I said it's like hyperbolic, but I don't care. I think there's a lot of truth to it. I said that agents of foreign adversaries that convince Americans to not get vaccinated. This is how this country dies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of they said a lot of the online propaganda came from like Russia.
Yeah, I believe
A
it.
lot of the anti-vaxxer stuff.
I definitely believe that. Whether it did or didn't, I think it's almost besides the point because we should know, as a country, we should know better. We should know that
Joe
vaccines work.
Rogan
We
is the
should,
mouthpiece of the UFC,
yeah,
and they are like pretty much owned by like Russia.
yeah. Oh, ugh.
I know it sounds conspiratorial, but then again, that guy spreads conspiracies too.
Yeah. I
So
mean, he is basically an episode of Art Bell Coast to Coast. So
I don't know, guys. Stop falling for bullshit. Get your fucking kids vaccinated,
yeah,
especially if you were vaccinated. Like if you were vaccinated as a kid, do you think there's something? I'm not talking to you, Jess. I'm talking to the person listening right now. Is there something wrong with you? Like I love how like we were told that within 2 years people are going to start stroking out. We were told people were going to turn to zombies,
yeah,
and they keep kicking the can or whatever you want to call it, pushing, raising the bar, lowering the bar,
yeah.
whatever, to where they're like, oh well, in like 5 years, the vaccine will call upon Cthulhu, and the underworld will open, and the dead will rise.
Right. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. That's what they say.
So if there's no more room in hell, the vaccinated will walk the earth, but not us. Don't you
Yeah.
dare shed your vaccine on me. I always love that. It's so gross sounding. Like he's shedding his vaccine on me.
It is weird. I don't know. I don't
Like
know where it all
flaky,
goes.
ashy skin, just like
Well, I do know that there is going to be a significant number of kids, over the next 6-7 years that fall ill to some things that could have been easily prevented. And maybe it's not going to be a huge deal. Maybe they will benefit from herd immunity, or maybe they will benefit from, who knows. Maybe
we'll
some
lose a bunch of kids to prove that wrong, I guess.
That's crazy.
The problem is that it gives some parents a way out. It's like, oh, that's one less trip I have to do to go to the doctor. That's one less trip I have to do this. That's one less bill. Oh, I don't have to get my kids vaccinated because those are filled with poison. I just
most of
saved
those vaccines
like
are free
300
though.
bucks.
Most
What?
of those vaccines are free though. I mean, I can't.
Well, there if you're insured. A lot of people are not insured in this country. So you got people who are not insured in this country,
Yeah.
and you have somebody telling you, you're like, if I take my kid this is going to cost X, X, and X. It's not for. I don't know how it works with insurance. if you're not paying for it. But if you don't have insurance, that shit ain't free.
True. Yeah, that's true.
And so you got a very that could be another reason why people are not getting it, because they can't even take their kid to the doctor.
Yeah, that could be.
It's an uninsured country. And that's why, like I said, that it was a huge deal that the COVID vaccine was free, because that was something no one had to pay for. So of course the Republicans were freaked out and be like, we can't have this work. They're going to expect all the vaccines to be free. They're
Yeah.
going to say, why is this one not free? Why is the chickenpox one not free? That one's actually a bigger threat in a way. Like, why is whooping cough not free? Like tetanus.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Whatever. Like I said, we saw this coming. None of us are shocked here.
No.
It's just going to get worse.
Yeah, that's and the big thing is we don't know the extent of it. I mean, it could become a very big deal.
I agree with you. I think that the article is disingenuous and that it's leaving out important data.
Yeah.
Where, like you said, 40% of the people, it should really say like 90% Republicans.
Yeah. I mean, it's
like, for 90%, 30% independent, whatever it is, libertarian, whatever. They're not getting vaccinated.
It's just
there's a what?
Yeah, there's a variable in there that they're leaving out. It's like, so I don't know. Anyway.
Well, on to better news and more fun, I guess. The actor strike ended finally. I mean, they're still like finalizing, but the strike is over.
It seems over. Yeah.
They put out some bullshit like the day or two before, like the bosses or whatever. And it still had the shit about AI, like they want to be able to use like a dead person's like likeness. I think that got all kiboshed. Like that's not happening. There's more protections. And let me tell you, I think Disney would love that, because they could be like, oh, we could have Princess Leia movie that looks like Carrie Fisher, but we don't have to pay her estate. We could keep bringing Grand Moff Tarkin back. Fuck, let's just bring back Peter Mayhew, even though he was covered in a Chewbacca outfit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like it seems to me weird that the studios would be wanting to fight this battle now. It seems like a battle they could have fought a little on down the road.
Oh no, that was always in it. That was like the main. That was like that was like the main reason why the strike happened. Besides the fact that, see, this is okay. I think people don't realize that, like, this is all because of fucking Uber. All this shit. Uber has started like the trend of like the gig economy.
Yeah, putting people on a 1099 or something like that.
DoorDash, Fiverr, whatever. I don't know any of these other apps.
Yeah.
Like, what other ones?
Well, yeah, the food delivery ones like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Lyft, and Uber. WeWork, I guess, but that's more
Uber Eats, whatever.
Yeah,
like it's like the gigification thing. So they're looking at like, we want to turn this into like a gig, more of like a gig too. We don't want to have to pay you just come in here, you do your work on the set, you leave. And that was the thing too. That's why they were getting like real chintzy with the writers, because they wanted to have the writers write the show and then have them gone, so they didn't pay them when the show was in production. They're like, no, you need to have the writers around when the show's in production,
right? For rewrites.
They were getting real cheap, and they're like, oh, we just have a showrunner. And it's like, well, the showrunner doesn't have his team her team anymore. So they were just trying to find ways to like cut corners. But I think a lot, again, this is why I hate AI and all this stuff, is these companies, they read trends, like business trends. Like, look, open air offices. We don't need cubicles anymore. Look, this company's doing it. We need to do that here. All kinds of bullshit. And it always starts in like some Silicon Valley place. And then all of a sudden, like Bob's Boot Barn is following like the same motto. And they think it's all fresh and new, but it's really just an excuse to like cut corners, really like an excuse to pay people less, hire less people, work people to death, give them less benefits. And they were like trying to like gigify everything. They want to bring that gig economy to the to acting and
Yeah.
writing and
Yeah.
these jobs that had residuals and like benefits and stuff. And they even said, people just they see these big actors and they're like, oh, these people are loaded. And it's like, no, they're not. Even people you see on TV all the time who are like character actors, that recurring roles and stuff like that, they're not like loaded. Yeah, they probably make like a really nice penny here and there when they do a show, probably more than I ever will get. But they're not like they interviewed some. I don't know. Did you watch Reservation Dogs?
No, but I know the show you're talking about.
There's a woman on the show. She's like a recurring character, and she's been in a lot of other shows, and she has a long IMDb list. And she said, like, yeah, I work, but like, if I don't do this, we have no health insurance. We don't have this, and they're trying to like cut all these like corners and everything. Yeah. It's like people just assume like if you're one of these things, you must be loaded. Oh, you must be rich. You must be well paid. And most people do. Most people think that creators, people in the arts, people who are content creators or anything, or are celebrities in any way, they think they're all like fucking, they must be rich like Tom Cruise. And that's like the furthest from, that's the furthest from it. Like, yes, there are some very wealthy people, and they had a hard time trying to get those, like some of those people were getting antsy and just wanted to get back to work, the higher paid actors.
Sure.
But thankfully, a lot of them stuck with this was about everyone else. It's still like 90% of the acting, like actors and performers that would benefit from these changes.
Did you read that article this week? They interviewed, I think it was the singer for Slipknot. And basically the whole article was him saying like, look, we're well off, but we're like kind of upper middle class. Like we're not super wealthy. We
put out albums. 30 people in that band.
We got 30 people. Yeah, that's what
they got to pay the tour. They got to pay for, the bus. There's probably multiple buses actually. Yeah, it's like a lot of money. In the end of the day, he probably pulls in like maybe a couple 6 figures or something.
Yeah, exactly. That was his whole thing, is that he was like, yeah, we do all right. I don't want to give the impression that we don't, and we have a lot of free time and we do what we love, but like I'm like upper middle class. I think there's probably a lot of people in Hollywood, even people that you might like know or recognize, that are probably in that same situation where they're like, they have money concerns.
I think the problem is that we see a lot of actors too that are rich, or they're the relatives of other famous, so they already come from money, so they're not like, you know what I mean? They can fuck around more, and they look like they're wealthy and stuff like that because they are wealthy. They come from money already.
A lot of them do. I was reading this article tonight. The woman who was head of the Actors Guild. She was on Little House on the Prairie. Melissa Gilbert, was it?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it turns out she's the Darlene Gilbert. They're like related somehow. And they all
that doesn't shock me.
No, it doesn't shock me at all, because I'm used to seeing that stuff now.
Katie Seagal was from Married with Children and The Conners and Futurama, Leela, and what was it, that biker show? She was from a famous family.
The Steven Seagals.
No.
Yeah, they're related. No. They like look just like each other.
Steven Seagal.
No. Yeah, no, they got their money from that famous book in the 70s, Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Yeah. Okay.
All
right. So seriously, clearly you're not taking it seriously.
No,
they want to. It's the whole. They want to like make this. They want to gigify things. Basically, they want to cut corners. They want to do this, and then they see AI, and they're like, "Oh wow, we could just hire some guy and we'll own them for the rest of it." And it's like, fuck you, dude. You're not gonna own me forever. The fuck you out of me. And then what they would do is they would, let's say you have a recurring role, but you don't really have any lines, but they need you in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't even be there. They would literally plop you in.
Yeah.
And then they would pay you like maybe 10%.
Right, you'd get like a
or whatever. Like you'd still get paid, but it would be like very little.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds kind of cool. Like, wait, I don't have to show up. I don't have to fly or travel, and you just have to like put me in. I don't know. I think that some of it was like, one, they didn't want to pay at all.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
Paying you? No, asshole. You're not already paying me. Like, That's not how it works. Like,
Mm.
I was here to be filmed today, not use my use my body and put me in a scene that I didn't even like. I'm not even getting paid for it. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
They wanted to. It's these shitheads like Zaslav who are like, they just want to make as big of a fucking bonus as possible. Dude, that guy's such a piece of shit. Did you see they announced another movie? WB cut another fucking movie.
oh, I did see this. Which one
It
was
was
it?
a
It was
Wile E. Coyote movie that starred John Cena and some other big actor.
I did not
Oh,
hear
Will
about this.
Forte, and they said it was like it got good, unlike the Batgirl movie, which probably was going to be a shit movie.
Yeah,
I have a feeling it was going to be bad. Would I like to have watched it? Yeah, I would have watched it, but like it probably was really bad.
right.
I mean, I've read about it, and it was whatever. But this one supposedly tested well,
Hmm.
and it cost like 30 million bucks, whatever. And they're just like, it's never going to come out. Another
Yeah,
write off. It's insane.
that is crazy.
And it's this guy. I've never even heard companies doing this. This is crazy.
It
I've
is a
seen
bizarre thing.
studios dump movies where they don't advertise it and they just like put it on something. I'm fine with that, honestly. I don't care. I don't really pay attention to advertising these days anyway. I wouldn't know the difference.
Well, I do know that the HBO experience has just become a lot of garbage. Like I still like HBO. I still watch a lot of it, but it used to be
Yeah,
such a streamlined app. They had these little hubs you could go into. It was pretty easy to find
yeah, it's
things.
pretty messy now. And
Now
they even
you
said like they don't even have like an A-list show right now. There
no
hasn't been one for a while.
no they're pumping all that like fucking reality show content and home decorating
Ten
content and
thousand pound Game of Thrones,
yeah,
nine
right.
thousand pounds Soprano.
My big fat Greek shed.
All he does is eat gabagool.
God.
so, so much gabagool. So much.
Well,
I
I
don't
don't
have
know.
time. Tony, stop eating all that gabagool. I don't remember the
what
last.
what was the stuff they ate in the red room that was like the essence of fear?
In
Because
uh in Sopranos?
no, in Twin Peaks, there was something that
I don't know.
wasn't
I don't remember.
gabagool. It was like a type of like energy that they would feed off of, and it was something like gabagool. It was
I don't remember.
anyway.
Just the thing is like I it's awesome that this will end soon and then they can start
Yes.
announcing new stuff and like you're just gonna be inundated with all kind of new announcements. Um I don't know. I'm glad it's over. I hope that everyone got that it's better and whatever. It's funny, everyone's like, oh, they're gonna raise the prices of the streaming stuff. They already have. I
Yeah,
tried
they're
I
constantly raising the
I
prices.
canceled Disney. I'm like,
Mm.
I mean I still have it up until the end of the month. But there's nothing. I looked up to see if there was anything in December. Nothing. Hulu, what you call it? There was an ad for. Did you see the trailer for Echo?
Yeah, I thought that looked a lot better than I
That looked
thought it
great.
would. Yeah,
That looked
I
really good. They
was.
said it's the first MA Marvel
Oh,
show.
I honestly I
By
had no interest in seeing this. It did not look good to
the way,
me.
Kingpin having a large presence in it, I thought was like, okay, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, no, it looked much better than I thought. And I like stuff that's kind of set in New York, and I mean, it just I don't know.
It's,
It looked good.
it's gonna air on Hulu.
Echo is.
Wow. It's gonna air on
Oh,
Hulu
okay.
and it's gonna they already announced they said that next spring or something anyway, Disney Plus is merging with Hulu. It's gonna be
Oh,
one
I
app.
did hear that. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, fuck that. It was like $110. I'm like, I hardly watched it. Like the other night I watched it because like Spider-Man No Way Home was on and I haven't
Oh,
seen
okay.
it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since it came out in the theater. I enjoyed it. I feel like it's like the forgotten Spider-Man movie, because it came out like right after Endgame. And then like Far From Home, or no, what is it? Was it Far From Home?
No, no
No, Far
way.
From Home was the second one. No Way Home was the third one.
Right.
That came out like only like 2 years later.
Wait a
So
minute. Which one
like
was Homecoming? There's
that's the
Homecoming.
first one.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know, but it was good. What's his face was great in it as Mysterio.
Oh,
Donnie Darko.
Yeah. God, what's his name? Jake Gyllenhaal.
It's
Yeah.
such a good. There's such a good twist in that movie. You saw it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I like
The
that
whole
one a
thing
lot.
when he tricks Peter into giving him the glasses, and then Peter leaves, and the whole thing was an illusion, and he's got a whole team. The whole thing was like an act, and they had like there was like flashbacks of all the people who like worked for Tony in the past, and it
Yeah.
was so good. It was like such a great like. I remember seeing that at theater and like actually being like, "Wow, that is like a really funny, awesome twist," you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he
Oh.
hired a science fiction writer to come up with the Mysterio and the elements. And then he had that one guy from Christmas Story. Like I didn't realize was in the first Iron Man movie where he's getting screamed at by Obadiah Stane or whatever his name was.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, they were going to jack up the prices of all these services. I think I'm literally going to start doing these monthly. Like
yeah. That's not a
I'm
bad
not signing
idea.
up for a year anymore because, like, okay, so Disney announces we're going to have less product. Well, they're going to have less product anyway because they didn't have anyone making anything for the past like 5-6 months.
Right.
Everything's like on hold. So they announced, okay, we're going to have less shows. Okay,
Yeah, we're gonna raise
I'm not
prices.
going to. I'm gonna drop it. I'll come back when you have a bunch of new content on that I like.
People are eventually going to do that, and then I think they're going to start charging like an activation fee or something. Like
Then
it'll
I will not use it. I'll
yeah, I
I'll
will not
find another way
activate.
to get it. Like
Yeah, no,
maybe
I
what will happen is if they, what will happen
hmm.
is if they get a bunch of people to that drop, you will start seeing promotions.
Yeah, that's true. That could be.
A lot of what I could see happening, what they'll do is it's kind of like what Sirius XM does and everything is they'll give you like a super cheap price for the first couple months
Yeah.
and they hope that you don't pay attention.
Right.
And then all of a sudden your bill goes up like 3 times.
That's why I still get a CD in the month every month.
Pay like $30 for that CD.
Columbia House. Yeah, no, they get you.
I remember getting them. It was like such bullshit because it was like, oh my god, these CDs cost 10 cents each. Yeah, they charged like $6 to ship each one. It was such
Yeah.
bullshit. So I still spent like over like $40 on like, and it was always weird. It was like the Columbia House version
Yep.
of
Yeah,
CD.
absolutely.
I felt like I was like, I as a kid, I was like, not a kid, I was in high school at this point, and I was like, I felt like I got an inferior product.
Yep. Yeah.
This is not the official release. This is
I forgot
like
about that. You're right. It came with
bullshit,
a little
like
off market. Like yeah, I forgot about that. You're right. They were branded Columbia House.
yeah, I remember looking at it and being like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, and I wanted to see if anyone had, I'm like, is my CD not the same as yours? Like,
yeah, and it was always like pretty much the same CD.
did I get the poor kid version? Like, what the fuck is this? And then what they do is if you don't cancel it, then you get a CD and they charge you like $25 for the next CD. And I think I forgot and I had to pay like I did it one time. I had paid for a CD. And I just remember it being like way more than like going to the store.
Yeah.
And I made sure to cancel that shit immediately.
And it was like some shitty CD you didn't even want. I think I got like a Pat
Benatar I think
CD.
it was something I wanted, but regardless, I just remember like getting excited, getting all the CDs, and then looking at them and being like,
"What have I done?"
Columbia House, the fuck is this? This isn't the official release. It's something like the All Save or like brand, or like
right.
Tony the Tiger.
Highway to Heck. That's not what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, I guess it'll be a good transition. We watched the season finale, speaking of Disney, of Loki tonight. Episode 6, season 2, called Glorious Purpose. I loved it. I thought it was really good.
It was great. Fun fact about Loki, season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this. Supposedly it was supposed to be a 12 episode season.
Oh.
Because if you watch this, it doesn't feel like, sometimes like the second season looks different from the first, no
Yes,
matter
yeah,
what. It's just something happens and there's like changes. I don't know. I would imagine they had to film it later anyway, with Obi in it
yeah,
and everything. But like, maybe it was all written. It was all part of. It felt very cohesive.
yeah. Oh,
Season 1 and 2
absolutely.
ties in perfectly. It really does work as one long series, like one
Yes.
longer season, like 12 episodes. Because like even like in this last episode, they do a good job of like wrapping up elements from the last season for that to the first episode. I like the whole thing with he's trying to find, basically Loki is trying to, what is this thing that's happening with time? Like it's gonna unravel or something?
Time, yeah, the idea is that time is unraveling, and as we're watching the show, we just see time unraveling and everything's going crazy. And what we don't know until the very end is that the He Who Remains explains that that this is the intended way for the loom to work. The loom is actually a failsafe, and if things get
Yeah,
out
it's
of
doing its
control,
job.
yeah, it prunes all of the other timelines, leaving only the sacred timeline, and then it starts all over again. So Loki and his crew, Mobius and the rest of them, all throughout this series are thinking things are broken, but they're not broken. They're exactly the way they should be. So that's kind of the weird part of it.
And it's like he's trying to find a way to, it's like he's trying, it's funny, he does all these things throughout the episode where he's trying to like, he probably knows what he can do, but he's not ready to do it. And he also doesn't want to lose his friends. He doesn't want to lose Sylvie.
Yep.
Um,
Well, and I think he genuinely thinks he can fix it. Like I
yeah,
think
like he goes
Loki.
and he tells like Obi like how long it would take him to learn how to do this, and he's like decades, and then Timely's like, well, more like centuries, and
Yeah.
then literally the next scene says centuries later.
Yes.
I watched it with my wife. We're both like kind of laughing about that, like, and he just knew everything. I'm just like, man, what was he doing for those centuries?
That was such a
Like,
great
what?
season.
Let's not think about it too much. Like, all
Yeah.
centuries go by, like that's crazy. Like when you
It
think
was
about that.
yeah, it was a great sequence, and like bit by bit, like Loki kept throwing in, you could tell like how many times he tried this, because like then he would say like, oh yeah, don't forget to latch his helmet, oh yeah, and don't
Yeah,
let it
which
down
is
because
kind of
it'll roll.
funny that like
Yeah,
that's probably like not latching his helmet down made his suit not like sealed properly, and that was
yeah,
enough for it to fail probably multiple times.
right,
Uh,
and then he
but
realized what happened. Yeah, it was a great way of
even
showing
when
how
they
many
think they could
times.
fix it and like was timely successful at getting that thing in and getting back, and everyone's like happy, and then it just happens anyway. So he's like, all right, I need to go back to, he basically goes to like the season finale when they, and that scene's great when he's talking to Timely,
Yep.
not Timely,
He
He
Who
Who Remains.
Remains.
And the guy's like, this is not the first time we met. We've had this conversation multiple times,
Yeah,
implying like this is not even the first time Loki went back to,
right.
and he basically tells them like the reality is you know, you want the big boy chair, you have
Yeah,
to make all the sacrifices. You want to be you want to. So in the end, spoilers for this. We'll talk more about. I'm not going to stop here, but like he basically realizes what he probably should have done from the beginning, which is go back, go get on, basically walk on that bridge. It's kind of interesting. Like it kind of like almost like resembles like the Rainbow Bridge from
yeah,
Thor
yep.
in Asgard, and which is interesting because in the first movie he falls off the Rainbow Bridge and we think he dies, but he shows up in
Oh
Avengers.
yeah, yeah,
So he's walking on that, and then he starts taking on the form of his true self with the
yeah,
horns and like the Loki thing, and he starts grabbing the strands, and he's like, it's like his chaos magic is because all the strands are like chaotic, everything's unraveling.
yep,
So it's like he's using like his chaos magic to like cancel out, the chaos, and
yeah,
he there's a throne, and he sits there on his throne holding the strands together,
yeah.
keep time working. And that
And it's
go ahead, what?
it's a cool scene too, because they replay the very first scene we see in this, where he meets Mobius for the first time, and he's basically saying, I'm supposed to be king. I'm going to be king one day.
Yeah.
And so it turns out he did become king, just not the way he thought he
Well,
would.
it's more like, the throne sounds great, but there's prices to be paid
Yeah.
for the throne. Not always. No, it's not always true. Some people who have a throne have no responsibilities and live the greatest life ever.
Yes. Right.
When that Mel
Exactly.
Brooks says it's good to be the
It's
king,
good to be the
he
king.
means it.
Um,
But Victor Timely or He Remains telling him that, like, this is
lonely.
lonely. Yeah, you're gonna like, and so yeah, that imagery of him with the horns, and it was so good. It was such a great
It was
scene.
great.
The effects are amazing. Like, they rival. You could see this in the theater, and you wouldn't be like, these effects suck. This is like top notch Marvel. This
Yes.
is like, I can't stand like how critical people are with CGI these days. It's so much insane. Like, my whole thing is this: the characters, CGI works best when if the characters are in the scene and it actually looks like they're there,
Yeah.
and they work with the environment, and the environment doesn't look like you're doing this fake 3D, like it feels like they
Right.
could fall into that environment, then it works. But if it clearly it doesn't, when it looks like Attack of the Clones, then
Yeah.
that's when you failed. And like I said, I could see the complaints that like Quantumverse had with Ant-Man,
Yeah. Sure.
because I
Sure.
did rewatch it again. I watched it on my Sony Bravo, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
got a couple of years ago. It's like super high risk, and you see the, like, okay, they're on like a sound stage, and like they kind of did like what they did in like season 1 of like Mandalorian a lot with that, like
Yeah.
they did a lot of that. Again, I think a lot of the problems too was that they were filming these movies when like COVID was still like, I don't even think the vaccine maybe just came out. Like,
Yeah.
so they had a lot of COVID restrictions when they were filming these movies, and like what they can do was limited. Um,
Well, this show though looked great. I mean, from start to finish. And you're right. There's a consistency in the type of filming they did, and the sets and everything. It looked like one cohesive whole.
I liked the whole thing with Mobius in the end, and I knew it.
Yeah.
I predicted he would go home, but I guess he goes home. But there's another Mobius there.
Yeah. He was a
So
variant, and I think he is stuck on some timeline now. And so he was kind of witnessing what his life would have been.
he wanted to
Right.
see what he was doing it for, basically.
Yeah.
That's what they say. Like, earlier this season when they're eating pie or whatever, and they're having that conversation, and he said, "I want to, part of me, like, I like my life, I like my job, I like what I do." And he's like, "Well, you know," he's like, "I would prefer my life was like, I find out my life was terrible.
Right.
I would
Yeah.
be hurt more if I had this like great life, I had a family and a job I liked and all that stuff, and then I would feel worse. I would almost like want to
Right.
find out my life sucked, and then that means I have greater purpose in what I'm doing with TVA." But he sees that he has this nice life. I guess one of the funny, not really funny, but his scene takes place in 2022, and the last episode when you
Yep.
see him at the shop at the jet ski place, and then
Right.
see him at his house and he's talking to his kids. That took place in 2022. People are insinuating that his wife probably blipped,
Oh,
because
okay.
this is a year before Endgame. Endgame takes place in 2023, which is kind of funny. I was like thinking about, like,
Yeah.
shit, we're in the year of Endgame.
Right. Ugh.
Yeah. So this is like a year before the blip happened when you see him. So, and there's no man that you don't see the wife. So we're like, okay, is he divorced? And probably the reality is that
Probably
his wife
blipped.
flipped, and
Yeah.
so he's a single dad for like 5 years, which is like
Huh.
kind of fucked up when you think
Oh
about
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, it was a
Yeah,
great
crazy.
show.
You live like 5 years, and all of a sudden the person you knew just comes back, and they didn't
Yeah.
age, and they're like, "Where was
Right.
I? What?" They're like,
Yeah.
"Wait, what happened?" Like, that'd
Yeah.
be insane.
That would be
People got
a cool.
In No Way Home, one of the funniest scenes was the professor, the teacher that
Yeah.
goes on the trip. That guy from like you've seen that actor. He was famous for being in Freaks and Geeks as a
Oh yeah,
kid.
yeah,
That
yeah,
guy. He talks about they're talking about the blip, and he's telling Peter that his wife faked being blipped. They had a funeral for her, and he found out she had like a new boyfriend. Yeah, she faked the
yeah,
blip, the way to disappear from him. It's like so fucked up.
yeah. That was good.
Yeah, it's like so sad.
Oh man.
Um, so yeah, I really love this show. It's like it's just so well done. It's interesting though. Like I said, we talked about this before we started recording. So there was this article that came out like a week ago that was like a total hit piece
Yeah,
on like Marvel and Jim, just saying like how everything's failing, everything's shit, everyone's like wants to bring back the original actors and like
right.
nothing's working. There's no new stars. And they said that like the season finale of Loki really fucks everything up because it locks them into having Jonathan Majors as the villain. And it's
Yeah,
like, I don't know about that. Like, so it's interesting. He Who Remains says to Loki, like, Sylvie kills him, but he's just like, I get reincarnated. Like, I
yeah,
haven't figured out where, like, you think I'm going to let this person kill me? Like,
right.
so he still exists, but he says the variants still are showing up.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is and that's kind of what I was alluding to when like uh Loki grabbed the timelines and then kind of brought them back to life and sat down on the throne. I think something happened there. I think that there's like I think it just looked chaotic as fuck. And Loki is still Loki. I think that that's going to be like a thing here, you know. Not that Loki's going to be a villain or anything like that, because I think he had his hero redemption arc, but that he now sees how like, well, sometimes things are just chaotic, you know, like I'm holding shit together, and he may be part of the problem in like future installments, you know. I don't know, but you're right. Like little variants of Kang variants or He Who Remains variants were still popping up.
They
Um,
reference the Kang. But they don't. It's interesting. They don't really ever call him Kang in the show. They
no,
call him He Who Remains, which I think is like kind of confusing, actually.
we did see a scene, a kind of interesting scene where OB got a bunch of copies of the book delivered, and then the next scene is a young Victor Timely, and he doesn't receive a copy of the
Right,
book.
because what's her fit? There's no Ravonna to give it to
Yeah,
him. So that Victor Timely that they dealt with doesn't exist. That's where I'm confused. It's like, okay, so he has all these different variants. So does he have a variant that was born in the 1800s,
I don't see that's.
or
I
is
don't know.
see that's where it's like confusing. It's like, okay, so this He Who Remains is from the Kang. So the character Kang in the comics is from the future.
Okay.
He's someone from the future, and he gets bored, whatever. He has technology, and he basically just commits time crimes. And then it gets more complicated with the
Yeah.
variants. And then you find out like, well, these other time traveler characters are actually variants of him, so it makes it even more crazier. But he in the beginning, a lot of Marvel characters more just like, I have these powers, and I'm gonna rob a bank.
Right.
I'm gonna use my time powers to rob a bank.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, like it's entirely possible that okay, so Victor Timely at one point in the past got a copy of that book and traveled into the future. And then Loki did his thing, and then that never happened in the past. But it still doesn't change the fact that for a brief amount of time, Victor Timely was in the future. And there
Right,
may
but
have been
he
branches off from that. So you could easily have a Victor Timely from the 1800s spawning Victor Timely's or Kang's or He Who
yeah.
Remains
I mean,
from the
I'm
future.
assuming I'll get explained more in like other, he's gonna show up in other things. But like I said, I just don't. Yeah, and I said there was one scene where they're talking about different cases because now like the TVA's job is to like go after Kang or
Yeah, pretty
He Who
much.
Remains variants, and they mentioned how one was taken care of, and I'm assuming That's the one from Ant-Man. That's the one that gets defeated in Ant-Man
Ant-Man.
Quantumania.
Yeah, that would make
That
sense.
was just one variant of Kang.
Yeah.
I liked when Miss Minute shows up in the end,
Yeah.
and like she's gonna be evil again. Opie's like,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Maybe. Look at
Like,
her.
that's not reassuring.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it was
I also what I love about the show too is how all these little elements of these characters from their previous lives actually show up. So like that guy who we find out was one of the escaped criminals from Alcatraz.
yeah.
He is they were basing it on that true story. It was I was when I said last week that it was supposed to be like just a like it was maybe
Right.
based on that. No, they were implying that he was supposed to be one of the actual three historically
Okay, yeah,
that
yeah.
escaped Alcatraz, and no one knows what happened to him if they either died or got
That's
away.
funny.
Thanks
Yeah.
to sheer determination. They, that
Sheer determination.
yeah, thanks to sheer determination, this guy ended up in the TVA. And when you meet him in the first episode, again, they may not have the memories of their past,
Right.
but their character traits from their previous life
Right
follows
there. Yeah.
his drawer was filled with like all kinds of shit, like infinity gems, and which was kind of funny. He had all those infinity
Yeah,
gems,
yeah.
like they don't work here. Like it's
Right.
like he's like Loki sees them, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
They're like paperweights. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do anything. But his drawer was filled with all kinds of shit that he probably steals and doesn't realize it. He just takes things probably.
Yeah.
It's like because he was a criminal in his
Right.
previous life.
That's
And
funny.
so I thought that was like a fun little like character trait. Same thing with like Owen Wilson constantly talking about how great jet
Yeah.
skis are throughout the series. And you're like, what? And then you find out he's a salesman. And it's like, oh yeah, duh.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I
That's
thought
pretty
that
funny.
was good. Oh, funny thing, I actually Ant-Man Quantumania. I've seen this online. You can look this up. There's a scene when they're walking through and all the extras. There's 6 characters walking through that are all the colors of they're the Infinity
Oh, okay.
Stones. If you remember, there's a scene. It what was it in Endgame when they show up and Thanos is more fucked up because he
Yeah,
found
yeah.
out he destroyed he destroyed the after he did everything he destroyed the gems. He said
Right.
he smashed them down to atom size or
Right,
something.
right.
That's why they're in the quantum
Oh,
verse. They were like because they're atoms. Yeah, they said like if you see it, there's like
oh,
6
that's
characters
funny.
together and they're all the colors of the Infinity Stones.
Nice.
The little details that I feel like don't get out enough.
Right.
Um, yeah, this was a great show. Tom Hiddleston's great. I hope we get to see him again. I'm sure we will. I'm sure he'll show up in Secret Wars
Yeah.
or the Kang Dynasty movie, or who knows what the fuck's gonna happen. I feel like I don't know. I'm assuming with the writer strike and the actor strike that they might just be like, you know what, we're not even gonna do this fucking Kang Dynasty thing. We're just gonna go
Yeah.
do an X-Men movie. Did you see the spoilers? Spoilers, if you don't want to hear the next 30 seconds or a minute, or depending
Sure.
on how long I talk about this, skip this. Did you see the stuff that leaked from the Marvels movie, the end credit scene?
No. What is the end credit scene?
Well, there's 2 end credit scenes. Do you care if I
Okay.
tell you?
No, no.
Kamala meets is it Kamala? What's her name?
Kamala
Kamala
or
Khan?
yeah.
Miss Marvel meets Hawkeye, with Kate Bishop.
Oh,
And I
okay.
think they talk about like forming a team like New Warriors or Young Avengers or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And then I don't know the details. I didn't hear the dialogue. I only saw like the video. And then the other one is something happens in the movie where Monica Rambeau goes. It's like I guess part of the plot. An incursion happens, which
Okay.
means she ends up in a different universe. And she wakes up and she sees her mom still alive, and she's like this
Oh.
character called Binary or whatever. So that's kind of cool. That's like a little nod. But then you see the Beast from X-Men,
Oh, cool.
and he looks cool as shit. He's like CGI. He looks more like cartoony, and I think we might see another X-Men character. So this is them bringing the X-Men finally into the
Right.
Marvel universe. It's interesting though. That's really where they're going with that. They come from another universe. I kind of would hope I would have preferred if it just
Yeah.
placed in one, and they're
Right,
just like
right.
you
That
know
would make more sense.
we were
But
laying back. now we're here.
Right.
Whatever. What were you doing Infinity War? Oh, we all blipped.
Yeah, we
Broke
yeah,
out 5 years later.
crazy coincidence.
You're busy. Or they weren't mutants yet. Maybe the blip caused the mutations, and that's
Could have,
where it
yeah,
starts. But yeah, that's a big scene. So they say the movie changes everything. That's it.
nice.
So all right. You've I don't know how long we talked there. It was probably like 2 minutes,
Yeah,
three
just a
minutes.
minute or two.
Yeah. So I will not talk about that amazing end scene in the movie you didn't see yet,
Okay.
or I didn't see yet. Um, yeah, it was a good show. I like
Yeah,
Loki.
yeah. I'm looking
I
forward to
like the
what comes
cast. The
next.
supporting cast was great. Well
Yeah.
done. I felt like Sylvie did take a little bit of a backseat this season.
It seemed like she was going to be so important, and she really wasn't. I mean, she was like important to that scene where she
She's
looked.
important to Loki, really, but she
Yeah,
just wanted to kind of like just live her life, have her weird haircut,
yeah,
and hang out, listen to tunes at like a record shop. She didn't want to.
right.
She ran her whole life. That was the thing. She was like running away her whole life, going to different like universes and stuff, and
Yeah,
dodging the TVA. And I think I don't know. Did we talk
yeah.
about Ravonna? Did we talk about like? Did we talk about that before the we
I
when
think
we were
before we started recording, we did.
there's a
She's
scene where like there's a couple like okay, the show's not like perfect. Like all of a sudden you see a scene with Ravonna, you're like, what? And I guess you find out because she did get pruned or something that she's in that like weird limbo where you
yep,
get consumed by that cloud
but
from
like
the
a giant sandworm type of creature. It's not
yeah.
really a worm, but yes, that thing.
So she didn't meet a good end.
No, no,
She
she
wasn't
looked
there
like
to give Timely the book.
yeah. And she looked scared, like at the end. It looked like not a great way to go out. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like there were some clues in there. She was standing over a dirt covered TVA symbol. There's a pyramid in the background. So there's like, it seemed a lot of people online were talking about how that might be tips to tips of the hat to different elements from the Marvel universe.
Well,
Um,
Rama Tut is another
yeah,
variant of Kang. We saw him in the end of Quantumania.
yeah. Some people thought that maybe that planet or that realm or whatever housed the Council of Kangs. That was a
That makes
thing.
sense. I mean, they got to go somewhere.
It makes sense too, especially because that's where all the Lokis wound up. That there would be like also a council of Lokis. I mean, if you thought about it, that's they didn't say it that way, but that's what those 5 or 6 Lokis were. They
Well,
gathered
remember, you
together
saw a
and
bunch of other Lokis. Remember, they invaded their
yeah,
hideout.
yeah. Yeah, well, it would make sense that Loki's fought amongst one another. I
Of
mean,
course,
yeah.
some
So,
got along, were able to get along, like
right.
alligator Loki and the kid, and
Yeah.
old man Loki. Well, that was the other thing too. Is about like sacrifice. So, like in the fifth, I love that episode one with Richard E. Grant playing the old Loki, where he talks about like how he tricked Thanos into thinking he killed them, and then he floated in space
Yeah.
for years, and how he felt guilty and missed his brother. And then there's a scene in Infinity War when before he gets killed by Thanos, he tells Thor, Asgard will rise again.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, I assure you, Asgard will rise again. And then in that scene, when he says like glorious purpose and he raises Asgard as a
Yeah.
distraction,
Yeah.
he like literally raises Asgard, like creates it like as an illusion. Then he gets consumed by that thing. As far as we know, he was killed by that thing. But he
Right.
says glorious purpose, and it was kind of like almost like a cool little prelude to like what happens to this Loki.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why the episode being called Glorious Purpose is a great name
It
because
is.
it's like, yeah, you got your glorious purpose because you're holding everything together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It was
saw.
just.
Go ahead, sorry.
It was just. It like it was his fate. Like that's what was meant to happen for him. And he
Well, this
discovered it.
variant again,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
variant that the actual Loki, like I said, them talking about that Richard E. Grant, the older Loki, talking about how he faked that could be what happened. That could be like our Loki, just older.
True. Yeah.
Like he he could still be out there, that Loki from post Infinity War. Like
Right.
he might not be dead actually. They kind of opened the door. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's say we see another show, whatever. See, that's the one thing I like about these shows is that they could do that recap in the beginning.
Yeah.
And you kind of anytime they do a recap and they show something, you're like, okay, this
Right.
character is
That's where
in
it's
this
going.
episode.
Yeah.
So they honestly should do that with the fucking movies.
Yeah.
Do
That's
that
not a
with the
bad
fucking
idea.
movies. I think the audience would be less confused. It'd be like just cobble together like scenes from different movies and shows and
Yeah.
be like, hey, this movie, like Kang Dynasty, whatever. Here's some important episodes. You want to go back and watch them, that's fine, but this is going to help you understand the movie.
Yeah.
Kind of like a show where they do all the I always watch
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
one recap before season 2 because I might have forgot some stuff.
Well, that was real. Yeah, that was real helpful with this series too, because it did. I remember the first episode of season 2. I didn't love it because I felt like a little overwhelmed. Turned out to be fine, after I got my bearings. But yeah, a stronger recap would have helped too for that.
The
It was
finale, definitely, I would say the best episodes of the season were the third one with Timely when
yeah,
they go
that was
from
good.
cast. And I like the fifth one a lot with him going where you get to see everyone's like
That was
what
good. It
they
was a little
did.
confusing, but it was real good. I liked it.
It's funny. I remember you weren't crazy about it, and everyone like online like said it was like the best episode of any
Yeah,
Marvel show. I was like, whoa.
I just found it like a little hard to follow, and it frustrated me. And I in my head I was like, okay, this is going to make more sense after next week's episode, and it does. I like it better in my head now than I did at the end of last week. But yeah, I don't have anything. I didn't have anything negative to say about it. I just was like a little confused by it. So,
Does Norse mythology predate Christianity?
oh yeah, 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 because
So
like Beowulf, this. Well, I mean, that's a good question. Yes, it does, and for a while they overlapped. Like late Norse mythology overlapped with early Christianity.
so I saw this guy on TikTok talk about this is Loki related. I thought this was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
So the whole like Garden of Eden, where like people would live forever, but they ate the
yeah, yeah.
apple, and the apple forces them out of the garden.
Right,
That's when they become more mortal instead of immortal. Like, and then and so I guess part of the story, one of the stories or something in Norse mythology is that Loki, there's these apples or something that
yeah,
take away godhood or something, and he
right,
tricks like the other gods to eat the apples
right.
so that they're not gods anymore.
That's funny. Yeah,
And so someone's like, so wait, so is the god from the Bible actually Loki?
yeah. Well, a lot of those, yeah, there's a word for that. I forget the name. It's like
Parable?
it's like not synchronization, but syncretization, where like religions kind of blend or merge
Yeah,
with
like
one
there's
another.
like the Jesus parable shows up
Yeah,
in like other
yeah.
religions that
The
predate.
flood is like a common. The flood appears in like every religion. Probably because there's some historical precedent to it. There probably was really bad flooding one year, and all the religions like had their own little reason for thinking why that flood happened. But
Gays.
yeah,
Anyone they didn't like. Anyone they didn't
right,
like was the reason why the flood happened.
yeah. It's the Philistines.
That
Um,
that the Franks across the street. They are the reason why the flood happened.
the Franco-Americans.
Goddamn, not the chef IDs.
Well, yeah. So anyway, it was a great show. Definite recommend, and hopefully we'll see more of these characters, if not in a Loki show, throughout the MCU. I'm sure we'll see some of it. So yeah.
Yeah,
All
we'll see
right.
what
So
happens. But like I said, I don't know what the fuck this article makes me think it's even more
yeah,
interesting now because it was like I don't feel like Marvel. One, he's never called Kang once in the show. Really,
right.
he's like his own thing.
Yeah,
He's called He Who Remains. He's not called He Who Remains in Quantum Mania. He's called Kang.
right.
So it's confusing in some ways. So I don't know. Watching the Loki show, I don't feel like Marvel is locked in with. I don't feel like they're
Yeah,
locked in. Like they have to like commit to this Kang character 100%. They could,
Yeah, I think they could change that at any time if they
if
wanted.
something were to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I kind of hope they keep the character. It's a good character.
Yeah,
Like I said, if they have to recast them, just fucking recast them.
plenty of actors. Yeah,
Get that guy. What's his name? Sam. I got. This is my. I have one actor that I think would be great for as a Kang replacement. Let me see if
yeah,
I. His name is Sam Richardson.
right.
He
He's
was on. Well, he was on that Detroit show with Tim
yeah,
Robinson, and he shows up in a
Detroiters.
couple of skits from. But this guy's been popping up in like all kinds of things. He was like in the After Party. He's just been like showing up in like all kinds of movies and stuff like that. He was on Ted Lasso.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's just been like this actor that's just he does a lot of voice work. I think he would be a good replacement for this guy if something
Not
happened.
bad. Yeah,
I
I
think
can
he
see
could
that.
play somebody tough. He's lost like first of all, if you see it like he was pudgy, you see him now, he's clearly working out. Like the
Yeah.
dude, he's ready to juice up. If he needs to, he's gonna get that scene. He's gonna work so he can get that scene where they take their shirt off to show their abs.
Yeah, live for that.
They look that's weird. Okay, cool. Hey, nothing wrong with that. I'm throwing it out. Who do you think could replace?
Jonathan
Who's your
Majors.
replacement for
Um, the guy who
it's gonna
played
be
Chidi
something
on the
ridiculous.
Good Place was good, I think.
Yeah, but they already used him. He was in
Yeah,
Quantumania.
yep. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably like I don't know. I like the guy from Detroiters. I think he'd be a good fit. It's weird. You need someone who's jacked, strong physically and everything, but you also need someone who's kind of like funny and vulnerable too.
Yeah, like because that's what's interesting about like Kang and He Who Remains and Victor Timely. Kang is like really stoic and like kind of mean or
Yeah,
whatever. And then Timely was just like a little goofball.
right.
He's
Kind of
having
bumbling,
he's having fun,
nebbish.
and like I like to like even like when Loki in the season finale, we're gonna move on after this. When
Uh-huh.
Loki confronts him when he's trying to stop Sylvie and he pauses time, and then the guy's like, "Okay, I noticed that we've
Right.
talked before. This isn't the first time." If you notice his act completely went away and he sounded like he didn't have like any effect to his
Oh, that's
voice.
funny.
Even when you meet him in the first season, like in the season finale of the first season, he's kind of like eccentric and he's
Yeah.
almost put up like an Oz, like a what do they call it, like the Great Oz type
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Wizard behind the curtain or something.
yeah. And then when you see him for what he is, he's just some dude. And he's like, all right, you figured it out. Like his
Right.
whole tone changes. He's like, all right, you know how to do this shit. Like
Yeah.
he almost sees like Loki as like an equal at that point. Like he's not like trying to be this like mysterious character.
Right.
You kind of figured it out. You could pause time just like me. You can do all these things. And his whole tone changed. I thought that
It
was
did.
really cool, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. There
All
was
right.
a lot of yeah. Okay. So yeah. All right. So we had election results, right?
This is real world,
Yes,
not
real.
Mar. I don't know what the election was in the MCU. I'm not sure. I didn't see the Marvels yet.
No, but we had election results. The short answer is this was a really good night for Democrats again and progressive causes, and we've seen a lot of that over the last few years. Honestly, ever since Trump got elected, things have gone pretty well the Democrats' way. So I have I guess the first one we'll do is Ohio, then we'll do Virginia. Right? That's the one we
Sure.
forgot to write down. But the big news in Ohio, the one I was kind of like watching the most, was that people in Ohio enshrined the right to abortion in their state constitution by like a 3-1 margin
But
or
isn't the
something.
House there, or House or Senate, or whatever it is, like basically run by Republicans?
It is, but they can't get rid of this. It's just
They can't fuck with it. I'm sure they'll fuck
well,
with it.
yeah, they can because the criticism is that for years and years and years conservatives have said you got to leave this to the states, and then it went to the states, and the states are like, yeah, we want abortion. And now the conservatives are saying basically that they're going to go back to the Supreme Court and ask that fetuses be declared persons.
Yeah, I love that. That Rick Santorum guy was like
Yeah.
this clip from him. I guess he was on like Newsmax, and he's like, "Oh, you put these issues like weed and abortion, these sexy issues up,
Right.
people are gonna come off tropes." It's like, first of all, okay, the weed thing's a different story, but the freaking abortion thing only is an issue because you guys make it an issue.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, abortion rights have won handily in super red places like Kansas and now Ohio, and so wherever they put it on the ballot, people want. It's kind of interesting because I think if you separate this issue from Republican politics, then a lot of Republicans are 100% in favor of this issue. They want abortion rights. But like, if their choice is, I can vote for the Republican or the Democrat, and I know the Republican's gonna like, they're gonna vote for the Republican. But if you make them pick their issues, a lot of those same people wouldn't be strictly Republican. They'd vote for some progressive issues. So
many things that would make them almost be like socialist or communist, and they wouldn't fucking realize it. Well, they would want better health care. They would want better wages. Yeah. They would want better health conditions. They would want body autonomy. And the joke is, it's like, yeah, dude, you literally are voting against like hardcore capitalism and conservatism. Like, but we didn't call it that. So we didn't call it communism, which is, this is kind of closer to that than the other thing. And I think it's hysterical. People like, it's like they treat these parties like baseball teams, and like they'll go vote on issues that they would be better off voting for a Democrat or a progressive, but they keep voting for fucking Republicans, and they don't. It's like this. It's a cognitive disconnect.
Well, it is really crazy. You know, I mean, this vote in Ohio won by like a 75% vote. They got 75% of the vote voted yes, which clearly includes a lot of Republicans.
Well, yeah, of course. And the question is now, does that mean that Ohio now becomes more at play in 2024?
I don't know.
Is there a cognitive disconnect, or will people wake up and realize maybe we shouldn't vote for the JD Vances? We need to vote for what?
See, I don't think this will affect the electorate in that way. I think they'll be like, oh, we dodged a bullet, and then if during the next election there's no issue like this on the ballot, they'll go back to voting Republican.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the thing that drives me insane about all this stuff. It's like there's like a cognitive disconnect. They don't, but the thing is, if they're watching like right-wing media doesn't tell them that, hey, the people that we're pushing voted against like all the benefits that your kids would enjoy. Like, they're just going to focus on Hunter Biden's laptop all day. Yeah. They're not going to talk about like it's crazy though. They keep like, they don't understand why they keep losing. And it's like, yeah, because your policies suck.
That's the thing, is that they are really in a bind because their big policies are very unpopular. And if you take away those big policies, then what do they have left? You know, it's hard to see where they go from there. You know, not that I care necessarily, but it was kind of a whiteout yesterday.
Like, these people shouldn't never be able to win an election again in reality, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they shouldn't be able to win an election again because of like how ridiculous their politics are.
Yeah.
I don't get it. That's the one thing that drove me nuts about this. I mean, I'm glad that all these things voted in the favor of like, you know, pro-choice and all that, but like, you know, can you connect the two and realize that, like, I mean, is it a failure on the Democrats' part for not pushing it? I don't know if it is, because if all they're consuming is right-wing media, Joe Rogan, all that stuff, they're not going to hear what the Democrat has to say.
Right. Yeah.
They're not going to hear any of that. What else? Anything else in Ohio?
I mean, I'm sure there were other things, but that was the big news. That was the big marquee story of last night, in my estimation. Although the second one was that Glenn Youngkin was all set to capture both houses of the state Senate and House of Representatives, and it turns out he did
in
not.
Virginia.
In Virginia, he's kind of a far right wing populist who I guess is telegenic and can appear natural on camera, but he's been horrible in Virginia.
He's
And
like a MAGA Republican. He
yeah,
ran as like an anti-MAGA Republican who
yep,
was able to get people who were annoyed that their kid had to wear a
that
mask at
was it.
school
That's
for a
how he
little
got in
while.
office. Yeah,
And this guy gets in and he tried to literally transform the state completely,
yes,
turn it into a red state. And it's like, it's interesting because it's like he can't run for governor again. I
no,
guess he could run for Senate, but they think he's basically now like a lame duck governor
yeah,
in a way, because it was like this year's like their midterm, because again he can't run again.
right,
If he captured the House and Senate and the Republicans, then he promised that he was going to push in like an anti-abortion thing and
yep,
all these other kind of crazy things that they probably have planned, like anything that Texas or Florida's been doing, he would have brought that
right.
right to Virginia. But they said that I guess he had aspirations to run for president,
Oh yeah,
and if this went through, I guess he would have been like a last. I guess that's funny. They say it's like, I mean, it's still like a year away. So if he
yeah.
announced that, like if he did well, let's say he could be at the next primary debate,
No,
and be
no,
what?
that might work to his benefit, though. You know,
What? Coming in
not
late?
well, yeah, and not. You said he wouldn't be ready for the next primary
No,
debate,
he would
right?
be at the next debate.
Oh,
Like if he won, that he was successful
yeah,
that night. But because he wasn't, that's it. He's done. Like his like
right.
he's not gonna. He already said he's not running. He announced it.
Yeah.
He's not running for president in 2024. I guess he was hinting at it, and he probably was wanting to see what the results would have been.
Yeah,
Because then he could have had a narrative and come
yeah.
in.
Just sat down and had a drink.
What?
Yeah, if he had a narrative already built up, he wouldn't have had to do much work. He could just like sit back
Yeah,
and
he
have
would
a
have been to
drink
the
and
debate, and so fuck that guy.
yeah,
Good. I'm glad that, and that I'm sure. Hopefully, people just wake up and like the modern Republican Party, man, is crazy. Of course, now the big fear that drives me nuts is you think you vote for a person and then they switch parties in the middle of their term.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we saw that happen. George Santos didn't switch, but there's that Trisha Cothram in North Carolina that switched.
Mayor in Dallas switched.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't affect people nationally, but it's a mood thing or a tone thing.
It is. It's fucked up. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, what? Or like Kristen Sinema is a good example too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you think you're voting for this like progressive woman who was like in the Green Party at one point, and now she's
Right.
like cashing checks from pharmaceutical companies and like fucking over everyone that try to get a slight raise on their minimum wage.
Yeah.
Did you see so I guess California raised its minimum wage, so
Oh,
it doesn't go into effect until next year, April or
okay.
something like that.
Huh.
McDonald's and Chipotle, they all announced that everything's going up in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, wait, why? The minimum wage didn't go up anyway. That's not till
Yeah.
next year. These companies, man, like I said, I can't believe like how fucking expensive McDonald's is now. Like that's insane. It's
It is
nuts.
crazy.
I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't even want to eat here. I'll go find better food. Well, not that I want to eat here anyway. Like I said, I get it just because of my kid, but like
Yeah. I get stuff for my daughter at
I
McDonald's.
gotta wean him off that shit.
My kid will get like French fries and a smoothie or something. Not the end of the world, and she eats it sparingly. But yeah, McDonald's is getting expensive. Well, we've talked about like Taco Bell. It's like $20 for three people if you get any sort of multiple sandwich or taco
Yeah,
deal.
it's crazy. Like I said, so any of these jackasses who say like, "Oh, the minimum wage thing," it's like, dude,
Right.
none of
Yeah.
these states that like they didn't have raises. What are you talking about? They're gonna
Well,
do it anyway. They're gonna raise the prices anyway.
yeah.
Okay. So that
But,
was Virginia. Like I
yep.
said, that guy sucks, Glenn Youngkin, and this is a good fuck you to him.
Oh
It's
yeah.
good. It's good for the Democrats. It probably will help make it more of a solidify. Like, okay, this is going to be a safer state for Biden,
Yes.
and there'll probably be a Democratic governor in the 25. The next election will be 2025 because it's always like an off year. It's the
Yeah,
year
well,
after the election.
right.
So in 2025, there'll probably be a Democratic governor at that,
Yeah,
elected.
ideally. Yeah,
Ideally, yeah. Well, hopefully, because like I said, it's interesting, like how Virginia only has one term, so it's like I would
right.
imagine the performance of the governor before that governor really affects. It's almost like
Yeah,
that Democrat Republicans running for that person's second term in a way. It's
right.
weird. I don't know. Was the Democrat not popular before? I don't remember. Like,
I honestly don't recall.
it's not like Youngkin won by a lot. I remember it was like a really
No,
small
it was a
percentage.
fraction. It was a fraction of the thing.
He
Who
just
did
got
it
enough
was?
reactionary people who didn't want their
It
kids
was
to
the
wear
it
masks
was
in
the
school.
schools. He went up against, what is it, Northcutt, or it was something with North in it, and
Yeah.
he was just fine. But he made a few mistakes. I remember towards the end. I can't remember what they are now. And the big deal was Glenn Youngkin went hard on, I'm going to get kids back in school and they're not going to have to wear masks, and that did it. That was so successful for so many of these right wing candidates.
Yeah.
It just really was, and it was successful because it was like real relevant fear mongering. I mean, like, it wasn't like, we're being invaded by space aliens, so we need to get into the shelter with our tin fish. It was like,
With Joe Rogan.
yeah, I mean, these were like reasonable concerns. If someone said to you, hey, I'm a little skeptical of the vaccine, we should talk. That's not like a crazy thought to begin with. It's crazy where they
Well,
took
I'd be
it,
like, what
but
are you skeptical about?
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's something you can engage in. Like, and same thing if a parent said, man, my kid won't wear a mask. I'm always getting calls from the teacher. I wish we didn't have to wear masks. I'm sympathetic to that. You need
I'm
to,
not.
but I'm sympathetic to it just because, like, if anybody's ever had a kid that just won't do what they say regarding a certain thing, you know how frustrating it is. I mean, it's just,
Of course.
I get being frustrated, but, like, again, I don't get just not doing it. I
I
mean,
tell them, like, tell your kid don't wear the mask.
yeah,
I would kill him
right.
or her.
Wow.
They'll want to wear that mask unless they invite death.
Oh, God.
Do
Yeah.
they want death or do they want to live?
Your desk is death. Your desk is
Wear that mask.
yeah. Well, all right, so that was Virginia. And you're right, it did. There's so much talk of Glenn Youngkin announcing a presidential bid
It's just
directly.
it's awesome to just see another potential Republican star get fucking
Yeah,
creamed. And it's good because it's like, no, Florida's fucked up from years of having like
yeah.
old Republican governors and Republican state houses and stuff like that. But like Virginia was trending blue for a very long time now.
It was very blue. Yeah.
For a while, it voted consistently for Democratic
Yep.
presidents. And then he was able to squeeze one in, thinking that he could, like, oh, I'm just a normal guy. I'm a normal Republican. It's like, yeah, no, you're all like this. Like all these
Yeah.
so-called normal Republicans, they all voted for that Mike Johnson guy for the Speaker of
Yeah.
the House.
And they all voted for the Supreme Court justices. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
machine.
there's no the MAGA Republican to me and the regular Republican are to me pretty much the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only time usually these people end up ever being like critical or questioning of the party, you find out they're resigning and they got like a deal on CNN.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, who cares what they think? They're not in politics anymore. Like, oh, now they can tell the truth.
Yeah. Well, in Pennsylvania, the Democrats held a bunch of judgeships. They had an advantage, a one vote advantage in the Supreme Court, and now they have a two vote
Yeah.
advantage.
Same thing like with the state house or something too. They got more of an advantage now.
Yep, they have more of an advantage. So that actually all went real well. The whole election was going well. But Pennsylvania had like some significant gains as well, too, I guess is what I'm
And then
saying.
Kentucky kept
Yeah.
the Bashir
Yep.
state. What did you tell me before about him?
They did a big article. I think this is what you're referring to. They did a big article today on county by county who voted for him last time. And he did well in all the counties that he did well in last time. But this year he flipped like 2 counties, both of which had been dealt horrible floods over the last couple of years or so. And they said that Beshear showed up, started writing checks, started getting people taken care of, was like real present and kind of involved in the recovery process from those floods. And apparently the people in those precincts remembered him because they voted for him, even though it's a very Republican area. They voted for him. I think some of that too is a little easier in a small state. Like if you live in a Kentucky, you probably can be seen a lot. You know what I mean? You can go to a lot of events and there's not like a lot of ground to cover. If you live in California, no, but it's like
I know what you mean. It's not Texas or California.
Yes, or New York, exactly. You can drive from one end of Kentucky to the other without a huge headache.
Yeah.
You know, you can be in a bunch of different places in Kentucky on a weekly basis without breaking the bank.
Yeah, we have to watch out for the chuds. That's all.
Yeah, right. But
I mean, actual chuds, not like the political ones. Like
like underground.
Yeah,
but yeah. So he was a pretty popular governor. I think a lot of people are saying
most of the state runs red. They voted for like that one. What do you say? That guy looked like a Simpsons character.
Yeah. He won attorney general. He looks straight up like a Simpsons character.
Mo. He's all like busy answering prank phone calls from a 9-year-old boy.
He's like all googly eyed and shit.
Yeah, it's interesting how these states, like these like super red states or blue states, they'll still like vote for this one person, like regardless of what the party is.
You see that too in the reverse. You see like New Jerseyans voting for Chris Christie or people from Massachusetts, massholes, I think they like to be called. They voted for Mitt Romney and Scott Brown. I mean, occasionally you see it, but yeah, I think that and we'll talk about Joe Manchin later. Joe Manchin and Beshear are both Democrats who win in these real conservative states.
But I think Beshear isn't a scumbag. Like
he's a legitimate Democrat. He says the same shit that Biden says. He just puts it in real simple terms.
Well, maybe he needs to do that when because I think how many terms can a governor get?
I don't know. It depends state by state. And I don't know what it is in Kentucky.
Most states, it's usually just 2 terms. There's some states where it could be 3. Like I feel like Abbott's been in a fucking. I think when I moved there 10 years ago, and the election was in 14.
Yeah,
since 2014. I'm like, I don't think he could run again though. I think that's it. I don't know.
He'll never run again.
Well, not cool, bro.
Well, I don't know if Beshear can run again. I think the life expectancy in Kentucky is only about 35 or 36. So
I heard Beshear raised it to 37.
But that's the thing is that I was talking to my dad this morning, and my dad was like really hoping that someone like Beshear would run nationally, and I think he could.
Kentucky is one of the 26 U.S. states that allow governors to serve an endless number of 4-year terms. The only stipulation in Kentucky is a governor can't run for more than 2 consecutive terms. So I guess he can't run again after this, but like in 4 years he could run again if he wants to. So if I were him, especially for next year, since I don't think he's like a young guy. I think he's like, isn't he like an older dude? I don't know.
No, he's young. He's probably, I'll bet you he's like, my guess is he's like 40.
Oh, shit. He's my age.
How old is he?
He was Andrew Graham Beshear, born in 1977. My God, he's younger than me.
Yeah.
What?
He's a young guy.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've ever seen what this guy looks like.
He's a little goofy looking. He looks kind of like maybe Andy from
Oh man, I seriously must have saw a picture of someone else and I thought he was like some old white-haired dude.
No, he's young. He doesn't look like John Edwards, but he's got that kind of like young, normal guy persona.
You know what he should do, which would be smart, and is probably what he will do next?
Oh,
He's run for Senate.
yeah, he could run for Senate. Or he could jump right into the presidential race. To be honest, after Biden, it's going to be wide open. Gavin Newsom will probably run. Bashir will probably
Well,
run.
if I were him, I'd just be like, hey, if you like my what I've been doing for your state, you guys should vote for the Democratic president.
Yeah, right. I
Because,
mean, yeah.
you
Well,
know, he can deliver. He'll deliver on things that Donald Trump would never deliver on. You know.
yeah. They said that Biden's super progressive. All things being equal.
Well, I
Establishment.
talk about that bullshit poll. I don't know if you listed that. We need to talk about that after we
Well,
should talk about that poll before we talk about the debate.
okay. Well, Biden and Bashir have very similar policies and beliefs, but they said that Biden will get up there and talk about Bidenomics and then get a little wonky. And Bashir says the same things, but he doesn't use that language. He says, look, we can take some tax money. But he does. He's like, look, no cap, y'all. We can he says, we got shovel ready jobs. We can take some tax money and give it to this company, but in exchange, they're gonna put like a bajillion jobs over there in Batsnard's Hollow, and
But
that
Kentucky.
and that's real. That is Bidenomics, but it's like it's straight to the point. Like, hey, we can take a bunch of FEMA money and pump water out of your home, like because it got flooded. And people are like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I like that, instead of
I like not having sewage in my house right. too.
Instead of Biden coming in and saying, well, we're gonna do a block grant and this and that, we'll take care of you. And back when me and Slack Pop and Cracker Jack were doing this, and
Slack Pop, my favorite.
Well, I don't know. So he won. That was Kentucky. And then the last.
Oh, that was the other thing about Kentucky, real quick, is him winning. Is that everyone's like, this McConnell guy? I don't think he's running again. First of all,
oh yeah,
this guy is like one day away from dropping dead, and the Republicans are freaking out because that was the reason why they didn't want.
Right. Yeah,
was because he'll put a Democrat in the Senate.
He should put himself in the Senate. He should just say
no. He shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
no.
He should.
Why? No, that's a bad idea.
Wow.
That's a bad idea. That would piss off the voters if he did that.
Yeah,
we voted you for governor. We like you as governor. Now you're
right.
And you open the door for like a Republican taking the governorship, and then
I can't imagine there's a ton of Democrats to choose from in Kentucky, though.
No, well, there has to be. Regardless, it doesn't matter. He's not going to put a Republican in. He would put a Democrat. Yeah. And the person that ran against him was that horrible Dean.
Yeah,
Cameron. What's his name?
It was Daniel Cameron.
This guy sucks. He's this dude who made sure. What was the woman's name? Breonna
Taylor.
She was this black woman that was killed by the cops. Like they came to her house and like murdered her, and like there was no reason for it. It was clearly a mistake or whatever. Wasn't she a cop?
I don't remember that. Well, I don't think she was a cop, but
made sure to prevent any meaningful investigation onto what happened there.
Right.
And he's a Trump chud.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he lost. Again, another loser picked by Trump. Trump. Yep. I don't understand how Trump is politically viable. Almost every candidate that he has picked in the past, especially since he left office, has lost.
He just says it's rigged. That satisfies his.
Everyone he picked in the midterms they lost.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know who else lost big was Moms for Liberty.
Yeah.
They ran
Nazi Moms for Fascism.
Yeah, they're just garbage people. They're just
they're really what they are at the end of the day. They're just an anti-public education teachers union group. That's it.
They're the kind of people that they get elected to a school board and then do everything they can to fuck up the school.
Yeah, they hate public education. They hate the idea of like kids getting fed in school. They're hard. They're monsters. These people. Yeah. They're shit.
Well, they ran in 6 states and lost in 5. There was, I know that's, I think a Moms for Liberty candidate won in Ocean County, New Jersey, and I think one in like part of California, but like they did not do well. And they said reliably, wherever a Moms for Liberty or a 1776 project candidate ran, like 75% of them lost, which
Good.
was
Fuck those people.
really good. Yeah. Well, I think, look, a lot of people, they get sick of that shit, you know. Where I live, which is where you used to live, reasonably conservative area. They ran a bunch of bonds in our local election to take property taxes and funnel them to the public school, and most of those bonds passed. Most, even like a lot of conservative people are like, no, we like the public schools, we want public schools to do well here and everything. A lot of them passed, unbelievably. Because I think on average, most people, even Republicans, like public schools. It's the far right. It's like this, their same thing with abortion. If you listen to the average Republican on Twitter or Fox, you'd think every Republican's against abortion.
But again, a lot of these people are people that don't even live in those communities. It's like the same thing. Like the problem with the school boards was there was all these people coming to these school boards, like harassing, about COVID or trans people, like that.
Yeah.
They didn't even live there.
Yeah.
They were like this traveling circuit of chuds that were being paid to harass people with school boards. They didn't represent the area.
No.
That's like the joke. That's why they say sometimes with local politics, like sometimes because the language is different, sometimes what they vote for can end up being considered more progressive just because like they just think it's like the local level and they don't see like the Republican presidency or anything like that. So I said, I think if more people, that's why like they were freaking out about like voting for abortion like that, because Santorum was like, no, it should be just, you voted for this person and that should be it, and you don't get a say. And it's like, no, that's not. See, that because you could trick people to voting for your person.
Well, I think most politicians are starting to realize that if you run a Republican versus a Democrat, people will vote how you think they're going to vote. Like,
yeah,
Republicans will vote for the Republican, but if you put the actual policies on a ballot, Democratic policies are much more popular than Republican policies.
Yeah, and the Republicans know that. That's why
think of like, I mean, I can like, maybe immigration is one where it would be a little confusing, but aside from that, you put abortion on the ballot, what wins? Abortion rights. Put marijuana use on the ballot, what wins? Marijuana use. Put pretty much anything. You could put a minimum wage law on the ballot. I'll bet you that would win. Put
of course,
raising Social Security on the ballot, that'll win. Any Democratic policy you can think of, aside from perhaps immigration, it'll win. Democrats just have much more popular policies. So I think that's really what Santorum and the rest of them are saying, is like, we've got to stop fucking ballot
you gotta stop
measures.
this democracy thing.
Yeah, they don't want that.
No, they don't. That's why you hear them all the time constantly saying we live in a republic.
Yeah. Some of that makes sense. Like when the Senate is voting on military promotions, that doesn't need to be direct democracy. We don't all need to get together and vote on whether Major Johnson gets to become General Johnson.
Well, that's different. But state by state, like policies and stuff like that. But like the whole republic thing, I know what you're saying, but when they say it, they're trying to get you to just not be for democracy as a whole. It's kind of like what we said about vaccines. Like, oh, I'm just talking about this COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Not all that, but no, really, you're just attacking all vaccines of all kind, because you're asking way too much from people's like critical thinking skills. They're not going to, once you convince them that the COVID vaccine's bad, they're going to think all vaccines are bad. And same thing, if you keep pushing, we don't live in democracy, we live in a republic or whatever, people are going to buy that shit. If you keep
Yeah,
saying it over and over and over, they're going to buy it. That's why
absolutely.
they
No,
because they can't win a fair election.
no, no. Well, then yeah, that's the thing, and it's
Well,
only getting worse because each day that goes by, older, more conservative people pass away, and younger, more progressive people get born.
but I think the
That's
problem is, and that's another reason why they don't like this, because I bet you there's a lot of younger people that would claim they're conservative or right wing because they
uh-huh.
would vote for Trump, whatever. But if you, like you said, issue ballots, they're going to be like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, of course I support weed. Of course I'm for pro-choice. Of course I'm not anti-trans. Like,
Free
I'm not an
tuition.
80-year-old like
Yeah,
right-wing Christian conservative. That they don't they it's like that huge cognitive disconnect. Like they're gonna vote for Trump because he's the man, but they're not gonna put two and two together and be like, oh yeah, like he's the one doing all this bad shit and
yeah,
emboldening his party to do bad shit. But if you put those issues, all of a sudden all those people are now like progressives.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Especially the
that's
younger people that claim to be libertarian or claim to be like whatever, they're just apolitical or whatever.
yeah. Well, we were going to talk about Biden's the poll numbers before we transition to the debate. The New York Times and CNN had some polls out last week that put Biden
It was
behind
like this
Trump.
Monday, actually. It was like Sunday or Monday I saw this, and I was like, oh no. Everyone's like talking about this guy needs to like drop out. And I'm like, you're insane. No, he should not drop out. That's
Yeah,
crazy. But then this election happened, and I feel like fuck you, CNN and New York Times polls.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, polls are just polls. I mean, they're not like meaningless, but at this point in the game, they're pretty out there. The challenger always polls relatively well, you know. Um,
yeah.
I
Well,
don't
it's just
know.
disingenuous too, because it made it sound like Trump was winning. And that's not really what it was. It was saying that Biden's underperforming, but Trump was not gaining seats. Like he wasn't
No,
gaining in the polls either. It's just more of like the concern was just that Biden was interest of Biden was failing.
yeah. Well,
And
I think that's true. I mean, I think that was true last time when Biden won. I
I
think if
think
you
that was
asked,
true when they said that Obama was polling similar to this
yeah,
in like 2011, 2012.
right. I
For
mean,
his
it's
reelection. I just think it's insane though. I'm like, people like really like you think Trump is better than Biden? Like, I mean, a wet sock is better than Trump. I'm like, come
yeah,
on, this is
right.
insane.
It's yeah. That's it's a deceiving kind of uh
I saw some clip today of Biden where he was talking and then something fell.
yeah.
And he's like, I just want to make sure you guys know that was not me. Because I thought that was funny that he's aware that people are like
Yeah,
trying to
he's
find any
sharp.
way to what?
He's sharp. I think the thing about him that I think is suits him well or benefits him is that he has surrounded himself with younger people and women and persons of color and stuff like that, and he listens to them. Maybe not like he'll do what they say,
I
but
will say the
he
Israel thing is definitely
uh,
not good. I really don't know what to say about that. I think again, him versus if Trump was president right now and everything that was going on in Israel, I think it'd be like 10 times worse in this
oh
country.
yeah, yeah.
There'd be
That's
like boogaloo boys walking around. There'd be like people getting killed in
that is
this
yeah,
country. I'm not talking about what.
the Israel stuff is tough, and I don't know. I think a lot of politicians in general are just like weird about that, you know.
I just think like sometimes foreign policy is different from domestic policy, and as
Yeah,
fucked up as it is, like I don't know, like I'm not going to be dismissive of anything. I just saying
yeah,
that
yeah,
like, foreign policy in the United States is interesting, to
yeah,
say the least. And there's a lot of war hawks, and then there's people that you wouldn't think would be war hawks, and they end up being one. Like I remember a lot of people with like Fetterman, like they're really disappointed with him because he's just like full in on Israel. But it's like I don't know. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked
yeah.
by this.
I mean, I guess
But I
I
don't think
don't
Biden's going to lose the election based on what Israel is doing to Palestine. I don't think.
right.
I think those anyone that's saying that is that's a fantasy. I think
Yeah.
most Americans have no fucking clue what goes on outside of their town. They like I don't think like yeah, if you ask people what they think about Israel, they have no idea, or they're gonna say
Yeah.
something vaguely anti-Semitic, or they're gonna say something racist about Muslims or
Yeah.
Arab, whatever in general. They're not gonna understand. I don't think Biden, as of right now, unless this escalates into some kind of World War III thing, I
Yeah.
don't think the the election, and I'm talking about any candidate, is what's going on in Israel is going to affect that candidate from winning.
Right.
I mean, I think it might annoy some people in next year. Let's say this keeps continuing, it gets worse, whatever, and Biden's like just fully behind Israel and doesn't like even pull aid or any, whatever
Well,
money.
it seems clear that he's like that he's trying to get people to the table and stuff. I mean,
Of course, but regardless, all I'm saying is I don't think that's the reason why his polls were down. I think
yeah, I agree.
there's a lot of inflation in this country. There's wage stagnation, insurance costs. Everything just feels like it's going up in price.
Yeah.
Food, basic services. It just seems like everything. I'll say this though. I was watching the debate and they were talking about gas prices being high. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
I paid like the lowest today than I did in like it was like
Yeah. I don't understand.
$4. I'm like, what are you talking about? This isn't like 2 years. Like it last, I think like a year or two ago, it got really bad. Like it got to like
Yeah. I
$5 last year.
we
It's
drove up to
crazy.
Kansas the other day, so we fueled up the car a lot. Now my wife drives a hybrid, which is not.
Oh well,
Yeah,
yeah,
but like even then, it was like I guess my point is I was looking at the gallon cost, and it was relatively low. I mean, like it wasn't a ton. I
yeah.
think
I
we.
don't know what the fuck they're trying to like use fear. Regardless, I don't know. These polls are bullshit. I think everyone, but I don't like how reactionary progressives get when with these polls, how
Yeah.
willing they are to like throw Biden on the bus. There's something to be said about or dismissive of Kamala too. Like it's crazy. I was talking to my dad about this. I said like we have the like say what you want about her. Her being vice president should be more historical
Yeah, for
footnote.
sure.
Like it's being treated. I feel like it's really dismissive, and it says a lot about like women or minorities. Like she's the first
Yeah.
female, like first woman in this type of office. This is like the closest to presidency.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people realize how backwards our country is. Like, yeah, we had one black president. That's it.
Yeah.
And then we had Trump. We had an orange
I
president.
know.
And then we got an old man. And then people want to elect an orange old man instead.
Right.
But we have a woman who is like, and it's so dismissive. Like, I'll be honest, I don't think she's the greatest like
Yeah, she's fine.
politician. No, but I don't know. I don't think she would if she ran. I don't think she would win. I think she's not. I don't think she's good at.
Retail politics or
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know. I don't want to be like swishy about it, but I just think like people are so quick to throw this guy under the bus, like, and the joke is, Bernie is supportive of Israel. Like, I mean, like if
Yeah.
he's president, I guarantee you, I don't know. I think he might. I don't know if he'd be exactly like Biden, but he would still be supporting Israel. Like
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
part of the United States foreign policy.
It's
I
in
don't
our
know what
DNA.
else to
Yeah. And I think
say.
like it's easy to like confuse Israel with like the modern day Netanyahu government, which is like I don't know. I mean, ultimately, like I don't want to get too deep into it.
The
I
point I'm
think
saying though is I don't think that's the reason why he's pulling low. I think people
right.
just they're seeing everything going up in price. They feel like things are not getting done. But there's also a lot of propaganda out there. The right wing pushes the whole Ukraine thing and saying that like, oh, the reason why your school has no funding or the reason why you're not getting like your town isn't having roads fixed because Biden's giving all that money to the Ukraine. And that's complete bullshit. That's not true at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Because it like, but then they'll be quiet about it. The fact that we give a ton of money to Israel too, so whatever, they're hypocrites and liars. That's why with Mike Johnson and everything, they want to like push that the what was it like Israel and Ukraine have separate votes
Yeah. Yeah.
because they want to put all the it's totally disingenuous. I just think this poll, I saw it and I was like, this is such bullshit, but it just bothered me how quick people were like, we need to drop it. Like, who are we gonna put in?
Yeah.
Who's gonna run? That would be a look what happened. That's happened in history. We've seen it. Fucking what's his face decided not to run, and we got Richard Nixon.
Yeah. Ford.
I don't know. Like, what was his face? That Axelrod guy. He came out and was like starting shit. But I think I think he hates the Biden people, and
I heard he got a big check too.
What?
I heard he got a big check too, like a donation from like some right wing operation that he
Axelrod?
Yeah, you're talking about the guy from Minnesota.
Obama's guy, the guy who used to work for Obama.
No, I'm thinking of someone else. All right, yeah. The state, the congressman from like Minnesota that declared he's going to run.
Who's that?
He's challenging Biden for the nomination.
I never even heard of him. I never heard. Well,
it's a congressman. Geez, I don't know his name even. I think he's from Minnesota.
It's a non-entity. It's not going to be. Yeah. But there's no real primary candidate. Anyone that says Marianne Williamson should not be taken seriously. Anyone that says Robert Kennedy should not be taken seriously. There's something to be said about having the incumbency.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a huge soapbox. You got a lot of machinery in there. You can fly around in Air Force One. I mean, I think Biden's going to be fine.
I don't give a shit. I will vote for Biden. If he drops dead the next day, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I'll vote for weekend at Biden's.
I don't care. I really don't fucking care. I don't want fucking Ron DeSantis. I don't want Nikki Haley. I don't want Donald Trump or whatever bog monster the Republicans are going to put in. I don't fucking care. You're not voting for a person. You're voting for a party and a political apparatus.
Yeah.
People need to fucking wake up and start and realize that. You don't like Biden because he doesn't talk as fast. Okay, who gives a shit?
Yep.
Who cares? Like, you're voting for the party, dude. You're not voting like Biden's just there.
You're voting for the machinery.
You're voting to make sure the government has like actual people working in it.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. But
I'm so sick of it. Like I said, if I like Biden and he dies literally the next day, I'll say that's sad. Yeah. But I will not regret voting for him.
No. I'd be happy with the next person up.
Yeah, I don't care. Now, if the next person is like a horrible right winger, I'd be like, what the fuck?
No, but if Biden were to pass away in office, we'd have Harris, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
and
whatever.
Harris would name a vice president, and I'd be fine with that person, presumably.
Vice President Amy Schumer. Tulsi Gabbard. That'd be fucking weird. I don't think they like each other very much.
No, they don't like each other. So, all right. Well, speaking of the people that they will likely be facing, 5 of them faced off in Miami. Coincidentally, this is the theater in Miami where I used to see concerts. It's a real nice concert hall right on the water.
Where they did the debate?
Yeah. This was
the first non-Fox News one.
Yeah, I was surprised. It was NBC.
I will say this, though. No one fucking counters these people on them at all. None of these moderators counter, like all these people on stage said complete fabrications and lies and exaggerations. And the moderators are like, okay.
Well,
I think Fox probably did a better job of interrogating some of these people more than Lester Holt did, and that lady. I forgot that lady's name.
Kristen Welker.
Yeah, I don't feel like they didn't really do shit. They just asked them questions. I mean, there were less people on stage. So the stars of the show. Chris Christie.
Yep.
Tim Scott.
Yep.
Tim Scott's beard.
Yeah, that was weird.
Ron DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
Ron DeSantis' 4-inch heels.
Yes.
Did you see that video of him walking off the stage? Everyone's like, NBC did him dirty by letting him on him. He was having a hard time walking down those stairs like he's a guy dressed up like Uncle Sam at a car show live, July 4th on stilts. Like
the
What?
first thing I noticed is that he was standing, I think it was next to Tim Scott. He was next to another candidate in the debate, and they looked of equal height. And then he gets away from the podium, and instantly he's like 3 inches shorter. He had been clearly standing on a
No,
platform.
he's on a higher box on the podium.
Yeah, yeah, he's like on a literal soapbox.
God, yeah. Nikki Haley
Yep,
and Vivek
Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy,
Yes,
right? Swamp.
yeah. So I had them listed kind of in the order in which I think they did. The first one was Vivek Ramaswamy. I thought he looked
How is this
horrible.
guy still around? Just blows my
His
mind.
money, he's got money.
Yeah,
I don't see
such a joke candidate though. He
yeah,
said that thing about like how the moderate, like it should be moderated by
Elon Musk
Joe
and Joe Rogan.
Rogan
Yeah.
and Tucker Carlson. I was like, oh my god, you're a clown.
Yeah, he's just not a serious candidate. He really doesn't know what he's doing or talking about.
I will say though, the everyone was like applauding Nikki Haley for
Yeah,
like calling him a scum, and I was like, I feel like that's an overreach. Okay, so they were talking. Of course, the everyone on stage is like talking shit about TikTok
yep,
because it's owned by China, or I don't even know if it is like really anymore. I feel like it's like loosened up. I don't know.
yeah.
It's
Oh, who
not what it
knows?
was when it first started, but regardless, they're talking about it like as if like TikTok's indoctrinating people and
Right.
it's so bad for our kids. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I see some like amazing stuff on there. I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, there's some like really good messaging on there. That's why they hate TikTok.
Right.
But he's like, Vivek's talking to Haley. Haley fucking hates him. Like, oh my
Yeah, she
god,
does.
she fucking hates him. But like, he's talking about like TikTok, and he says your daughter uses it or something.
Yeah,
She's like, you barely my family out my mouth, and then she calls him scum. And I was
yeah,
like, I mean, it's funny, but like, he's a scumbag. But like, he's just pointing out a fact. Young
yeah.
people are using TikTok,
Well,
and
that's the
you
thing
guys
too.
are
Is
completely missing the point.
yeah, his and as much as I dislike Vivek Ramaswamy, he's 100% right. Like Nikki, why should anyone listen to you on this? Your kid uses TikTok in your home.
Yeah.
Are you admitting to having Chinese spy apparatus running in your home? Like, what is that? I mean,
How you
it's
dare talk
it's
about
true.
my kid, you scum.
Fucking walk the walk. I mean, like if you,
These people are full of shit.
it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, like I
Again,
don't.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, I get why it's like in poor taste. I mean, intellectually, I understand what people are talking about when they're like, well, but like maybe that's a dumb rule. Maybe that kind of etiquette is harmful to the process. Maybe we
What?
should say, well, the etiquette, the standard politeness is don't bring the other person's
But he
kid
didn't
into
even
it.
say anything bad. It's not like he said, like, oh, your kid's a dumbass. All he said
Well,
was, that's it.
he said the phrase I think that got him in trouble is he said like you need to get your own house in order,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
meaning, and that is a shitty way of putting it because
He made
that's
it a
like
little, he made it a personal dig.
yes,
So all you have to say is, kids are using it, probably yours as well.
right. That's what if he had said it that way, it would have been much better received. If he had said, "Look,
But
Nikki,
he's too much of a troll. He can't help
yeah,"
himself. Nah,
he should have
I
said
did
like,
like the comment though about he made a comment about heels, and of course
"Yeah,
everyone assumed that he was talking about Haley. I don't think so. I think he was talking about DeSantis.
yeah,
Everyone, because this guy is like an online character. Like
yeah,
he's perennially online. Like only an online idiot would say, "Oh, I think the debate should be hosted by Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson." Like that
he,
would ever happen.
yeah,
So,
he
Tucker
is."
Carlson's irrelevant. Who gives a shit about him?
This guy is like the political equivalent of Jean Ralphio
Yeah,
from
he
Parks
is. He should be on stage and being like, "This debate is boring."
yeah,
Like he would sing, like,
yeah,
yeah. He brings his sister out too.
Mona Lisa, yeah,
Yeah, that's so fucking funny.
he is.
Henry Winkler's his dad. Dude, that's so good. That's like one of the funniest things. Yeah, he sucks, but I mean, like, what did he say too? Oh, he said something about Gutfield too. I don't know. He's
Yeah,
just well,
he's just crap.
like this guy's so online, and the whole DeSantis thing has been this online thing now for a while now. So that was a total dig at
Yeah.
DeSantis.
Oh
No
yeah,
way
yeah.
it was not. I will give DeSantis credit. I'm glad that he attacked Trump a lot in this
Yeah.
debate. Um, But I really think the one thing that these idiots, the thing they're missing is like they all should attack Trump. They said, "Where is he? He should be here."
Yeah.
He may have high poll numbers, but the more bring up, the more he doesn't show up. It doesn't, he's not
Yeah.
answering questions or not debating. Those numbers are going to go down. And I guess that's another point. Going back to the whole bullshit Biden poll where they make him sound like he's going to lose to Trump.
Yeah.
People don't see Trump as often as anymore. So they're
No.
getting how bad he is. See, it's smart. He's not doing any of these debates.
Well,
So
and he's getting worse.
no one can get a what?
And Trump is getting worse too.
What do you
I mean,
mean?
he's like people forget how bad Trump was,
Oh
but
yeah,
Trump
he's like
is
10
also
times
getting
worse.
worse.
He's still
Yeah.
pushing like the lies about the
Yep.
election.
He's more aggrieved. He's less coherent.
Yep.
He's yeah.
Yeah. It's like he's making sure there's no clips of any of the other candidates countering him,
Yeah.
questioning him, making fun of him. Like Trump was there and Chris Christie were able to get like anything in on him, it would crush Trump mentally.
I think though, and this is I don't understand this. Trump, a lot of the traction Trump got was from dominating the stage in the first election. Now I get not exposing yourself, but like he could be putting the he could basically wrap up the nomination with one debate appearance, I think, unless he's significantly lost a step.
I think he's lost a step, and that was the funny thing.
Yeah.
DeSantis brought that up. He was attacking Trump the way people try to attack Biden he was saying that Trump was old and that Trump lost. He said Trump lost a step. And
True.
If Trump was there, they could attack him on his record and be like, and try to get him to answer, and he would never. He's a fucking coward. This should not, I think the more he doesn't do these debates, the more it should make him look bad. It does not make him look better. It should show that he is, in the next debate, they need to be like, Trump does not have clearly he is, is inept, cannot do these debates. He's getting old. He's like he's slowed down. Like the thing is, he's not going to pick any of these people to be his VP candidate. It's not happening.
No. He'll pick.
He threw around a ridiculous name today. I think he said Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, he did.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, that is the thing. I think okay, here's what I think Vivek Ramaswamy took himself out of the running last night, if he was ever in it. I mean, I think Tim Scott just sounded like a bumbling moron.
He's just boring. He's boring. He's boring. Talking and fall asleep.
He was never going to win. I think Chris Christie, although I thought Chris Christie did fine last night, I thought he just looked like he's done too.
But he didn't even attack Trump. They said like he was just trying to be like a statesman last night. He hardly attacked Trump. He just wanted to look. He was the most. Remember, I was talking about this. He said lately, and it's like he looked actually normal.
Yeah.
Last night, he was like his hair was parted nice, and he was wearing like a nice fitting suit. He looked normal. Like he looked like the most normal person on stage.
Right. He probably was.
What?
He probably was.
Yeah, like he was calm. He didn't like freak out at all. He's probably just like, I want to make TV appearances. That's the only reason why I'm on here anyway.
Yeah.
To get my what is it, like name capital or whatever?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So again, renew your contract with ABC. Get called upon. Maybe he'll be picked as a diplomat or something by whatever. Because sometimes Democrats will pick a Republican as a diplomat. They've done that. I remember Obama would always pick that one guy, that Mormon guy from Utah or something. He was like, China or something. It was weird.
Yeah. I thought Ron DeSantis did fine. I do think someone's been working with him vocally. His voice is usually so terrible and so shrill and so
wow.
Yeah. And I think someone probably worked with him on that because he sounded better, like literally sounded.
It would not shock me if he ends up being the nominee in the end. It wouldn't shock me one bit.
Yeah, I agree. Only because, like, look, the only realistic options currently are Trump, DeSantis, or Haley.
Yeah.
And I don't see Republicans voting for Nikki Haley.
I think Nikki Haley buried herself last night with the abortion question.
I see.
I think she said something. I mean, she's lying through her teeth about. She said she's pro-life, but she said something about like if the states, then leave it to the states or whatever. Bullshit. They want to get rid of it across
Yeah.
the board.
She scares me though because she she's good at lying about it. Like,
Of course, she's a liar, but I think she hurt herself as a Republican primary
I
candidate.
see. I think they all still know. I think they all still know that she is. It's like when Amy Coney Barrett said, "Oh, of course I'll abide by decided
Yeah,
laws."
I don't know, but if you're a
Everyone
primary
knew.
voter, you're going to vote for DeSantis or Trump over her now.
Yeah, yeah, that might be the case, but like, I
Amy
don't.
Coney Barrett was different. They were trying to sneak her into a lifetime position for the
Yeah.
court. So they like, yeah, say what you got to say. We know who you are. We know what groups put you in. We know who you're
See,
indebted
I
to.
think the same about
And
Nikki
when we
Haley.
don't get to vote for her, remember that we, the
Well,
people,
yeah,
don't get to vote for Amy Coney Barrett. I think people who are Republicans or staunchly
yeah,
against abortion anyway saw Haley and were like, nah, I wasn't going to vote for you anyway.
yeah.
So
Well,
I was going to vote for a woman anyway.
I think Nikki Haley looked and sounded great last night. I was talking to my dad about this morning. She looked normal. She dressed age appropriately.
Again,
She
Republican women with the blush on their cheeks. What's
Yeah,
up
I
with
mean, look,
that?
but
Calm down. We know you're a fucking woman. Calm the fuck down,
but
lady.
she just looked normal. She sounded normal. She
Red
talked about
Rouge.
normal
All
things.
got rosacea.
She sounded articulate, and I do believe she is like smart about foreign policy and stuff like that. I don't know. I just thought like
I just don't think she has about as much of a chance as no one. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't think
I
she
would rather run against DeSantis than her.
really.
I think so.
You
I
think
think
she
Nikki
could
Haley
beat?
sounded real good.
You think she could beat Biden?
No, I don't. I mean, I think there'd be enough like people that sat out because I don't think Nikki Haley would excite the Republican
You want to
base.
get none of the Trump people would vote for her.
Probably very few. It
And
depends. Like you can never tell what's going to happen. Like
I think even with DeSantis, like the joke is, I want to attack Trump. Please do attack
yeah,
Trump. Please do. I think you might as well anyway at this point. What else do you have? What do you have to fucking lose, dude?
yeah.
You're
He's
in
like
third. You're like in third place.
distant third.
You're
Yeah,
third place, but you're really like in 12th place because Trump's lead is so much higher than the second
right.
place too. Uh, like what do you have to fucking lose? Just go on and fucking attack him. Say he's a fucking wimp.
Well,
Coward Trump. Trump's a coward. He wouldn't come out here and defend his record.
they do have to worry about going up against two electorates. You know, they have to first beat Trump and then they have to beat Biden. And to beat Biden, they're going to need Trump's help. That's the shitty part about
Trump
it
ain't
for
gonna
them.
help him. If Trump loses the nominee, he ain't helping anyone. The only way he would help is if the deal made that he is something that all his court cases, everything is covered by the
Yeah,
GOP, and that
it
they make sure he doesn't serve a day in prison or
it
gets.
would be that, and then he'd demand like cabinet positions for Ivanka or something. I
Yeah,
mean,
like
there'd be some.
I think he's too petty. I think he, if DeSantis won, he would be like, "Fuck you! I'm not gonna." He'd be like, "I came out and helped that guy in Florida. He
Yeah,
thanked me," which is true.
yeah,
All that's true. He helped him. DeSantis is the only governor in Florida because of Trump.
yep,
Um, and he'll probably say the same thing. I'm not going to have him be president. Why would I do that? He
yeah,
said I was a meanie.
yeah.
He said I was a host. You know, like he's petty as fuck. He's not gonna. I think he would not. Nikki Haley has said stuff about Trump too.
True.
I don't think that. I think if Trump doesn't get the nominee, his existence will hurt the candidate.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that does sound true.
Because Trump doesn't care about getting a. That's why it was so funny. Like, we should put Trump as the Speaker of the House because they could if they wanted to. I guess they
yeah,
could
I
vote
think
to
so.
not be
Yeah.
the Speaker. Of the House. Do you think Trump wants to do that?
No, 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 no.
There's no benefit to that. You have to actually work.
Yeah,
Like he when he became president, he treated it like as if he wanted to be absentee. He said this before 26. Like before he was elected in 2016. He said that the job of the vice president was literally to do, like, the vice president's like the CEO of the company. I mean, they do all the work. And he just wanted to be like the guy that shows up at like parades and shit. Like, he said that, like, he doesn't want to actually do work. You think he wants a cap? He doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah, that's not in his.
He wanted to use his presidency as his own little piggy bank to profit off of it, to get his cachet, his name, force dignitaries have to stay at his hotels.
Yep.
Force the Secret Service have to pay to stay at his hotels. Have the American public have to pay for him to golf in his own hotels.
Yeah.
Like, he has no interest in actually doing work. Yeah. Like, what's that?
Yeah, he's like the Maynard G. Krebs.
What?
Maynard G. Krebs of the White House.
Yeah. He had that scruffy goatee and he's playing the bongo. It's like, work. What is that? Yeah, work. Oh, yeah, that's right. Wasn't he allergic to work or something?
Yeah, he's like started to sneeze or something. Yeah, all in all, the debate was interesting. It kept my attention. The last debate was real boring. I thought
this one kind of boring too, but whatever.
It was, but I thought Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis came out looking fine. I thought
less people on stage definitely helped them.
Oh yeah.
Listen, Bergamania, man, that guy, he just oozes charisma.
Yeah.
When he's on stage, all eyes are on him, and little Ron and little Haley and little Vivek and little Scott, and little Christie,
it's just so distracting when he's speaking. You see, like, slightly on camera, just like panties being hurled at the stage and stuff. It's like
oohs and ahs.
Yeah, it's just real distasteful.
People begging them to marry them.
Right.
Bergamania. Eugenic Levy, as his friends call him. Well, but there was someone else who wasn't there this time, right? Or was that the only?
No, there's like another person who was there last time. Oh, Mike Pence wasn't there.
Oh, that's right. That's crazy. That one, I'm shocked, because let me tell you, Mike Pence was the best one at the first debate.
Yeah, he looked pretty good in the first couple debates. Too bad no one else thought so. Too bad, like, two leftists.
I can't believe. Wait, you're telling me that the guy that Trump said was a traitor that didn't flip the Constitution in his favor and threatened to murder him that day, that the people wouldn't support him? I'm blown away by that.
I think we even said that, like, in the caption that week, is that, like, he did pretty good. It's just a shame that all his supporters want to hang him. Like,
yeah, and all the supporters, the so-called supporters, want him murdered on January 6th. I love that. Yeah, you're gonna flip the election, Mr. President. It's not. Do you think that if that could have happened? Don't you think that would have happened already at some point in history? No, because I'm the best, and I'm the one that does it. That's why.
It's such a stupid argument, because clearly the first thing you would think of is like, well, can Biden do that? Like,
yeah, exactly. Hey, Kamala, make sure that I win, okay? Like, again, when people say there's no difference in the parties, the way the media treats the two different parties, is insane. They let the Republicans get away with murder. The idea that this idiot can say to the vice president, "You can flip the election for me," and not be completely laughed out of Washington that day.
Unreal.
That in itself should be disqualifying. You don't even understand the basic forms of, like, democracy,
how it works.
In this country. Like, you thought that the VP had all of a sudden becomes the God King that day and can decree who is president based on a thumbs up or thumbs down. The fuck? Like, he should be laughed out off the planet. The fact that anyone takes this idiot seriously blows my mind. There's like all these clips of him recently, and he sounds so deranged. He sounds so tired and lame and boring and repetitive.
Yeah.
Oh, we did see in the end of the debate, Tim Scott unveiled his beard.
Yeah.
Dude, did you see the photo with, it was like they kind of like touched her hand for like a half a second?
Yes.
It looked
awkwardly,
like
yeah,
it made me think of like the like a guy in high school brings his friend as a prom date. The
yes,
girl as a prom date. Like when he was with her, I was like, it looks so unnatural to him. I
it
mean,
was like when Ricky brought Simone to the party from
what's that?
Better Off Dead. Ricky, the
Oh,
neighbor, the weird neighbor, and the
yeah.
French for yeah,
Yeah, that guy.
yes.
He like,
Uh,
and again, I don't know if what this guy's sexuality is. I think he probably fucks sofas, honestly. Probably like one of
probably,
those
yeah.
weirdo, like what do they call that? Like object, like
Yeah,
they're
like,
attracted to like
yeah.
he fucks his car's muffler or something. Like they're like attracted to sofas or something.
Yeah.
Like he probably doesn't even. It's like that's it. It's like that episode of The Simpsons when the actor played by Phil Hartman. There's that
Yeah.
episode where Harry Selma
Troy
and
McClure. Yeah.
they make references to Troy McClure that he's really like attracted to only dolphins. They
Yeah.
kind of hint at it a couple of times, and
Yeah.
that they basically say that he fucks dolphins, and
Yeah.
that Selma, whatever, was just a beard for him because he was getting his career back. That I feel like that's probably it. I bet you he's like I don't think it's probably not even gay. I think it's more just like
Yeah, I
there's
think he's yeah,
there's something odd there.
right. He something happened to him as a small child, and that part of his development just ceased, you know. Like he's probably like super into Ms. Elaine Fairchild from Mr. Rogers'
The
pretend
puppet?
universe. Yeah, like
Yeah. There's something odd. I just think, but that was really funny. Like, oh, the girl from Canada's here.
right, yeah.
Just as he's like pretty much done.
You just see someone in the audience eating poutine, wearing like
Yeah. She had her French Canadian. She had her beret.
wearing a hockey jersey.
Yeah. With a she had a maple syrup. Tim Hortons cup of coffee.
Yep, absolutely. Whistling a Rush tune as she walked in.
Screaming, calling like it's all Tim. Come on, hoser. Let's go play some curling.
Get a six of Elsinore and call it a day. Um,
I was like, watching this. I saw a trailer for some movie I want to see, right? And
yeah,
it was like, it's weird. I'm like, well, I watch it. I'm like, oh, it's Canadian. I'm like, well, that's odd. Like a lot of shit's filmed in Canada. We just don't realize
yeah.
it. But I guess when it's actually considered Canadian film, that's when the like hoser accent comes out more. Because like a lot of American shows
Yeah,
are just filmed in Canada because it's like cheaper.
yeah. I think the
So
X
they're not
Files wound
considered
up being
Canadian
filmed there.
productions. But when it's a Canadian film, all of a sudden it's like, hey, hoser. I mean, I don't even know. It's like whatever the accent is.
Yeah,
All of a
yeah.
sudden.
That's funny.
They let the Canadian come out a little more.
Yeah, my wife watched a Canadian show. Like it had like 10 episodes or 10 seasons. It's about moms. I forget what the name of it was. It was pretty good. Anyway,
But that wasn't Canadian. Wait, was that the one with the Reitman or whatever? That
yeah,
woman?
that was
Yeah.
Canadian.
Was it though? Well, I
Yeah,
guess
almost.
Reitman is Canadian.
I think
She's
the whole thing was
Ivan Reitman's
Canadian.
daughter. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that. Which
yeah,
is fun.
yeah.
When you see her, you're like, oh shit, she looks exactly like him.
There's something weird about her that people kept talking about
She has no
online.
top lip.
That's it. Yeah.
She's you know when I first saw her on something, she was the cat girl on Always Sunny. Dennis marries her, and then every episode she
Oh
would show up, she
yeah.
looked more like a cat. I think they killed her off, but like by the last episode, she like got like surgery to make her face look like
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, she was the cat lady.
Hmm. Weird.
Uh yeah, I don't know. I mean, like there's really nothing else to really say about the debates. They say the same boring shit. They wanna they were bloodthirsty about Israel, of course. The border. Oh, what did
Yep.
Vex said the stupidest thing? Like, take all the money, the military out of Ukraine and put it in our border. It's like, what? Wait,
Man,
what? You want to
what a
like
moron.
bomb Mexico and Canada? Fuck. That's I mean, this guy's a fucking clown. He's a clown.
He just has he's in over his head. I mean,
He should not be taken seriously. If he's I kind of hope he's at like, because as of right now, it looks like it's probably just going to be Haley and DeSantis and maybe him. So I kind of hope he's there, because then he'll work as like a foil to them.
Yeah.
Just from an entertainment purpose. Like, I don't want them to look better. It's just, I would imagine if DeSantis and Haley are debating each other.
I just want to watch it and think of him as Jean-Ralphio.
Yeah, I kind of hope that in the middle he's like, this debate is boring. You know, like, whatever.
Like, pills, baby, pills.
Yeah, like, the joke is where they say, like, it's the kids' table anyway, because Trump is still
he's like 40 points ahead. Yeah, easily.
And all I'd say is that says everything about Republicans right there. That you will still vote for this guy.
Yeah.
Who's a complete shit show. This guy's name gets attached. Like, do these people not realize when his name is involved, it makes Democrats come out and vote against you?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, if he endorses a candidate, 500 to 10,000 more Democrats in the area will
automatically vote.
Yes. He is the greatest Democratic recruitment ad ever.
Yeah.
Trump. And the Republicans they can't let go of him.
Can't get enough. Can't quit him.
You know, they had their little chance with Glenn Youngkin. You know, he was able to come in and be like, hey, I'm just a normal guy. Trump, who's that? I don't know who that is.
They've made their stand on Trump back mountain. They can't quit them. Can't quit.
Brandon Quaid was in that also, and Brandon Quaid cannot quit.
No,
back the mountain either.
All right, so we have a few topics to kind of round out the show. Joe Manchin has announced. Yep, he announced he's not going to seek re-election. Most people assume now that state will go to a Republican. People thought that might be the case anyway, but
they said he's been polling pretty badly now for a while. Like, this isn't a recent. It's been like this for a while now.
Yeah, he's just such a garbage person. I've always I like having the extra. It was very nice to have a Democrat representing West Virginia, because it's like if a Republican got New York or California, you know, it's like a big deal. It's he was awful.
Unreliable, and he ruined he ruined like what was it? Now I keep thinking Brokeback Mountain. What was it? Breakback Better?
Trump Back Mountain.
Trump Back Mountain. I want you guys to, hey Jack, I need you guys to vote for Trump Back Mountain. Get that through. Joe Manchin doesn't support Trump Back Mountain.
Well,
I can't quit you.
I can't.
What was it? Bring Back Better? What was it called?
Build Back Better was
Build Back Better.
Yes.
Breaking Bad Better. Yeah, like Joe Manchin, like sabotaged, like everything. Even Kristen Sinema, like fuck these people. He has done more damage to the Democratic Party than any Republican has wished to. He voted for fucking what's his face, colostomy for the what's that guy's name?
God,
Keith Kallenbach, the guy from
Kavanaugh.
What was his name?
Kavanaugh.
Let's start with it. What?
Kavanaugh.
Do you remember Keith Kallenbach?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. The guy who could blow smoke through his eyes. Smoke through my eyes.
The thing about Manchin that it will be good to get rid of him is that when the Democrats are in control, sometimes people say, well, the Democrats aren't delivering on their promises. And that's only because of people like Joe Manchin. So if Joe Manchin's not in the picture, then maybe the Democrats aren't in control, but they can more legitimately say, when we are in control, we're going to deliver because we're not stuck with fucking Joe Manchin.
There's always like that. Like, there's always some asshole, like, all of a sudden, what's his face? Was it Mark Warner or something for Virginia or something?
Yep.
All of a sudden, he'll be the next Joe Manchin or something. You know,
there's always one. There's just theoretically, there has to be a most conservative Democrat.
Joe Manchin is like legitimately the worst.
Yeah. Well, like I dislike Sinema more, but Manchin's very bad.
Sinema is so disgusting.
Yeah.
And like
it's much
flagrant.
More. Yeah. It's so much more naked and raw with her. Like, it just came out of nowhere. Like, oh wow, you're You're a grifter. But with Joe Manchin, you always kind of knew what you were getting.
But Joe Manchin's also a grifter. He's made
Yeah, but you knew
millions
it.
of dollars off of mines and stuff in West Virginia. His
Joe
daughter's
Manchin
a
was never
grifter.
sold. No one ever voted for Joe Manchin thinking they're getting a progressive. People voted for
Yeah,
Kristen
that's true. No,
Sinema thinking
cinema, like you said, cinema's just so
it's
like
gross.
blatant about it and
Yeah.
gross. Yeah,
And she
Manchin,
sold
it's like
herself. She sold herself as a progressive, took people's money as a progressive, and then once elected became a chud. Manchin
started collecting
never.
checks and stuff. She's
Yeah.
they said that like they wouldn't be shocked if she just cashes out and doesn't run again.
Yeah. No one ever sent money to Joe Manchin thinking that he's going to be a progressive hero. That never happened. So
Yeah,
that's why
true.
I dislike cinema more. But yeah, so I guess good riddance to him. I don't know what that will mean. Like maybe someone could run, maybe a Democrat could run
I
in.
feel like, I truly believe like a state like West Virginia, like it's not Mississippi. I think that, or Alabama,
Yeah,
I
true.
believe that like West Virginia, if you had a true working class progressive Democrat come in, like let's say like the guy, we talked about this before the podcast, the guy from Ohio, what was his name?
Yeah.
What's that guy's name from Ohio?
Sherrod Brown.
Sherrod Brown. If you got a Sherrod Brown come into West Virginia, he could win.
There, if I
I
remember
bet he
right,
could win. A Sherrod Brown type could win
yeah,
because it wouldn't be about like whatever they consider PC culture. He can make it like it'd be less bullshit and just be like, you know,
I think you're right. And I think there's a union boss in West Virginia that might do well. If I remember right, there was a union boss. I used to see him on TV a lot, and he would talk about West Virginia, and someone like that might work really well. Like most,
I just
look,
think, yeah, like at the end of the day, Joe Manchin was just a self centered like
yeah,
grit like asshole who made millions of dollars off of people suffering. He denied people money in West Virginia.
yep,
Like, was he better than like Republican? Maybe
he
a little
was,
bit,
but
like
not much. I mean,
5%. I
well,
mean,
the Republican that replaces him will literally be like a feral hog wearing
a
"Come and
bib.
get it," yeah, "Don't tread on me" T-shirt.
Yeah,
Um,
Feral Hog in a Don't Try Me t-shirt, riding a rascal with a Confederate flag on him.
yeah, I mean that's
Yeah, no, like
basically
that's
who
the
you're
other
gonna
thing too.
get.
Joe Manchin, because whoever, if let's say, it ends up being a Republican, which is possible, you will never hear about West Virginia again. Joe
Yeah,
Manchin, the joke is, you only knew what West Virginia was because Joe Manchin was such an attention getter, and because he was that weird conservative Democrat, all the attention would go to him,
yeah,
and he like with him gone, it'll just be be Republican number 33. No one's
yeah,
gonna give a fuck.
right.
It'll probably hurt West Virginia maybe because they'll get less, people will forget it exists.
Could.
You know who might
Yeah.
like that though? Those
Huh.
drug people from Ozark. Less eyes on them.
Yeah.
There to
Well,
be honest.
I will say that like Joe Manchin over the years has like Joe Manchin being a Democratic vote that you had to court probably got West Virginia a lot of perks. And if all of a sudden West Virginia's just got a regular chud governor, they're not
Except,
necessarily,
yeah.
yeah. Of who else are you going to vote for? I mean, you're going to have vote for Republican causes, and they don't have to pay them off.
Yeah.
So
It'll just be another go-to Republican that will
yeah.
just follow. Yeah, that's true. I
So
mean, so
West Virginia should. I mean, they won't. But like, if West Virginia kind of voted with their head, they're like, with Manchin, we have so much leverage. With
well,
there's so
Manchin
much.
dropped out, so it's not like he lost. He decided not
Yeah,
to. He's
but
also not a young guy, first of all. The
true.
guy's like,
Yeah,
I think like late 70s.
yeah.
There's rumors that he was going to run for president. I'm like, dude, you are the most like, who are you running? Are you running for the like? You'll probably take votes from the Republicans. Like,
Yeah.
there's no Democrats that would be like, oh yeah, I love the
Right.
the chokehold that Joe Manchin has put on all progressive causes in this country. As a
Oh.
Democrat, I love that.
All right. Well, the next thing was kind of a weird thing. I don't have a ton to say about it. It was just kind of funny. James Comer's the Republican chair of the Oversight Committee, House Oversight Committee, that's in charge of like impeaching Biden. And so he's got his little marching orders, and he wants to. And over the last couple
What
of
state
weeks,
is he from?
he's Kentucky.
Okay.
So over the last couple of weeks, he's been saying like, we've got Biden, we have evidence of this misconduct. He loaned his brother $200,000 and then got the loan repaid, and that shows he was laundering money and blah blah blah. And as it turns out, it came out today that Comer himself loaned his brother the exact same amount and got it was like unreal. Like,
he's like, I will find this person and I'll get him. And he's saying it in the mirror.
Yeah. I mean, it really
the person in the mirror, Joe Biden.
It was really
here,
like
Joe
that.
Biden. You're guilty.
I know he's got like some sort of weird Fight Club thing where he's trying to find Tyler Durden. Yes.
He punches himself in a parking lot. Everyone's joining the Fight Club.
He shows up and arrests himself one day. But it's just it's so weird, you know, like these.
It's comical.
You couldn't make it up. You could not make up.
Joe Biden is guilty of all the things that I might be guilty of.
Yeah. How do you know it's wrong? I did it myself.
Yeah, I'm a bad boy. Lock me up.
So there was that. Okay, so
conscience name Joe Biden.
Jiminy Biden.
Jiminy Biden.
Okay, so the next one on this list was Lauren Boebert.
Lauren Bobo.
Yeah, you sent me
Lauren Beetlejuice Boebert.
You sent me a TikTok clip of her with an exchange. I think it was Steny Hoyer who she was talking to.
Yeah.
And Steny Hoyer said, you know, will you yield? And she said, it's not my floor to yield or whatever. And he's like, no, that means, can I ask you a question? And anyway, he went back and forth.
She doesn't understand how the house works, just like I don't understand how the house works. The difference, though, is I'm not in the house.
Right. It's like if you ever, like when I was a little kid, sometimes my parents would take me, I'd spend the night at a friend's house and I'd have to go to church with them the next morning. And I'd go to like an Episcopalian church or something that's run completely different than the church I was used to going to. And like I didn't know when to stand, and like part of it's in like fucking Latin, and like you're just like, it's very overwhelming. And that's
this church hates a different kind of group of people from the church I go
to. So what do you mean this isn't real blood? What do you mean? Can I have seconds on that host? So Lauren Boebert just doesn't know how things work. Like she just, and
it was her thing, right? It was something she was pushing, and,
right.
And Hoyer's like just asking like basic understanding of how the function of the house works.
Right. He's like, what funding is in this bill? She's like, we know what they use the funding for, and he's like, okay, what funding are you opposed to? And she's like, the fake funding.
She doesn't even know what she's.
No,
they just told her to vote on this. They said, go out and do this, Bobo.
The funny thing here, though, is like Boebert had zero shame, zero self-awareness. She didn't care a single bit that she had no idea what she was doing.
She doesn't know. She's so dumb and dense.
I know, but like when I was over in France and I went into a restaurant or whatever, and I didn't know like how it worked, like should I go up to the I was like mortified, and I kept like, I felt very self-conscious, and I, was like
humility.
Yeah. Boebert would be the kind of person that would just start jacking off the mater.
Big English, bitch.
Right.
I'm an American.
So it stuns me, that she's so bad at her job, but more so that she's like, she cares so little that she's so bad at her job.
She never served any kind of office before she got into this position. She was literally like a call girl, failed actress who owned like a shitty restaurant.
Yep.
And I guess she was involved in some behind the scenes Republican Party. She was banging Ted Cruz or something. Yeah. And they threw her name around and said, it'd be good. Yeah, let's put her in Colorado as a MAGA candidate. And
well, they found a district that probably had very few Democratic politicians, somewhere where there weren't a ton of voters. They could flood it with money and pick up an easy seat.
And And it was
It was
during like the Trump election
yeah,
too, so a lot of
smart idea.
Republicans were out, and
She's got that like uh that weird sort of like girl chipmunk from Rescue Rangers attractiveness about her.
but without
Uh
the like
the intellect.
the intellect or empathy that
Yeah.
Gidget, is that the character's name?
Gadget hacksaw or
Gadget, yeah.
something.
The empathy and
Yeah.
intelligence that Gadget would
Yeah.
show us. She's like the opposite. She's
Right.
Ratchet. She's Gadget's sister, Ratchet. Ratchet.
Ratchet.
Yeah. Like
Um
she's like just dense and dumb. I've worked with
yeah.
people like this. They're
Yep.
just dumb and like they're fucking ignorant. Like they like pride themselves on being
But
fucking stupid.
it's also mixed with a startling lack of awareness regarding
Yeah,
their own
yeah.
ignorance. You know, I mean, it's anyway. I also saw the New York Times read an article the other day. I think I sent it to you where they were talking about Boebert's poll numbers have really dived since she jacked off that dude at the theater, and they called her situation surprisingly sticky, which I
That was after, but thankfully it was
it was just so funny.
pants.
Like, so anyways,
So
that's
gross.
Boebert. You sent me a really weird picture of Huckabee tonight.
Oh, ugh.
Wasn't doctored at all? That was just
No, that's
what
her
the
fucking face, dude. Like she's listen, you know what? I don't want to be mean, but she's also
yeah,
like a piece of shit. So
yeah,
at the same time, I don't care. This is a woman that like smiled that like small
yeah,
children will be forced to work in the state of Arkansas.
right,
Unregulated little kids get to lose fingers at the age of like 13. They could pay people less too because they're just kids. This
yeah.
one's a piece of shit. Um,
Are you looking at the photograph now?
yeah, I
Okay.
tweeted it, said picture of a person and his entire political career will be taken down by an overpriced lectern. Dude,
Now,
yeah, it looks like it's skewed, but that's her face, dude.
well, that's what I was going to say is hold your thumb over
I don't want
the
to touch
right
her.
hold
It's
your
so
thumb
oily.
over the right side of her face. And if you just look at the left side of her face, it's like normalish. But then if you hold your thumb over the left side of her face and look, it's like
It's like she's like Two-Face from
that's what I
Batman.
was going to say.
Yeah, like she's got like two like hold on, let me see if I can
Yeah,
like yeah, so like if you hide that, it's
right.
wait, hold on, it's like and then it's like
Normal,
and then it's like
right.
weird.
Looks
It's like
the
this is hi, I'm Sarah, and this is my sister Barra. I'm Barra.
yeah,
My
it
twin
really
sister
does.
Barra shares the same face as me.
It
I'm
looks
the evil one. I'm the one that wants to get kids to work at 13.
yeah.
I'm the nice one that likes to go on trips to Paris with my girlfriends
It
and eat
almost
state
yeah.
run money.
It's Disney-esque.
Barra likes that too. Barra likes to go to France as well.
Barra smash.
No, Sarah. No, Sarah. No, no.
Barra
No, you
say
can't contain me, Sarah. I'm in charge now. The
it's
body.
it's clobbering time.
Barra wants to smash a Frenchie.
Well, things are getting rough for her with that podium thing. It's just like
These people look like Batman villains. They really do. Like,
well, Rudy Giuliani is
dude.
the Penguin, so it's
What?
Rudy Giuliani is the Penguin. So
Roger
it's,
Stone looks like
yeah, oh, these looks like
Pinhead or
the
something. Like
Penguin.
these people are all like freaks, dude. They look like the 1960s Rogues Gallery.
Yeah. um, but this it feels sitcomish in that like this was such a stupid thing. They stole 20 grand to go partying in Paris and they faked buying a podium and then they covered and they're like just stone cold busted on this.
So it's
They are
$20,000. They claim they bought a podium.
yep.
She bought it from her friend who does not have a podium business.
Right.
Podium that they claim to buy goes for like 7,500, which seems like a lot for a podium to begin
Sure.
with.
Yeah, it
And
does.
then you find out, well, no, that's actually the one that they supposedly got was a knockoff. So it was actually less than, it was like $500. And
Yep.
then you find out they don't even have a podium.
Right. There's no podium.
And then there
Yeah.
was something else that came out, like some $50,000 bill.
Well,
Like,
yeah. The guy, the blogger, keeps doing these freedom of information requests for other things because now he's on the trail. He's like, oh, well, if that's a thing, what about this other thing? And so in the meantime, Sarah Huckabee Sanders has started to work with the legislature to pass a law saying that you can't ask her where she got shit. That's what she's
yeah, I
doing
love
now.
that. It's like right before this stuff gets out, I'm putting in a law that you can't track my trips or where I'm going or what I'm
Yeah, it's
doing.
like with
Ron
DeSantis.
DeSantis did the same thing in Florida.
Yep. Yeah. So
But it's just funny the timing of it. Like
yeah,
right as this thing starts to get juicy, it's like, oh yeah, well I'm gonna put a law in that doesn't let you file where I'm going.
exactly. Well,
I
speaking
plan on
of
going to Belize with my friend. The barrel you get a fuck on.
yuck.
Barrel gonna get a fuck on in Belize. And then I'm
Um,
gonna go to Budapest, get my fuck on there. I'm gonna pretend I bought an office desk. That desk costs 40 grand. Then we're gonna go to Thailand, get a
yep,
lady boy for Barra.
over there in fuck it, Thailand.
Go
Um,
hang out with Gary Glitter. And I'm gonna claim that I bought a new table for the office. Table
well,
cost 160 grand.
speaking of getting juicy, this brings us to our
Yeah.
last story,
This
which
is gross.
this is the weirdest
We saved
one.
the best for last.
Yeah,
The
Mike.
fucking grossest, weird. Everything about like just reading this sentence is
Yeah,
creepy as fuck.
apparently he and his son.
Well, Mike John, current speaker, Republican
Mm,
Speaker of the House, newly elected. He's been there a couple of weeks now.
yeah,
Mike Johnson.
he signed. He and his son agreed to do, I guess like accountability partnering on their porn habits. So they both downloaded this app called Covenant Eyes. And I guess what it does is it monitors what you and shit like that. And then if you Google anything weird, like Huckabee plus nudes plus Paris or whatever,
Huckabee smashing Frenchie.
right?
Huckabee
If you Google
partying in
something like
Belize.
Huckabestiality, then
That's just a thing. Like
that's just one word.
it's Huckabee bestiality. That's what it is.
Huckabestiality, then it sends an alert to the other person with whom you've covenant partnered.
It's
Meaning,
so creepy
God,
and
so
weird.
weird. It's the whole
Daddy,
thing is
why do you
weird.
keep looking at the men's section on jcpenney's.com?
Yeah.
Son, I'm trying to find the right singlet.
Yeah.
Trying to find the right singlet, son. Daddy, you don't own any singlets. Shucks.
What? Who's Spartacus? Who's
Why do you keep looking at pictures of gladiator movies, Daddy?
So
Son,
it's
shut up.
just so weird that you would, I mean, I'm like, that you would ever ask your child, your flesh and blood child.
Well, first of all, it's like he's talking about it like at this is like a year ago, and he's at
Yeah.
something, it has something to do with this creepy ass church or whatever.
Yep.
And he's talking like an app that's free that he downloaded, and he talks about him and his son. I don't think he says porn habits, but he's talking about basically implying
Yes.
like you can keep track and make sure we're not, we stay on the right path.
Right. Yeah. And it's
Daddy, why do you keep looking up the discography of George Michael constantly, all day, all night, Dad? What's that about? Like,
yeah.
on, son.
Yeah. It's just a weird thing. Everything about this guy's weird.
Well,
Everything.
he's pushing this app that is literally like a anti-privacy app that would steal your data so it could be sold or
Yeah.
leaked online. Like it's this.
Well,
I was like listening to it. I'm like, okay, well that's creepy. But then I was really paying attention to like the app, and I'm like, man, this app sounds evasive as fuck.
yeah, right. Well, that's the thing too, is that it's like, you were a sitting congressman at the time. You downloaded something that literally monitors your communication.
Yes.
Where does that get sent? Who talk about TikTok? I mean, where is all your web browsing data being sent? You know, like what else is being
blackmail
sent?
on the Republican Party.
Yeah. I mean, so that's just weird as fuck.
It's just creepy, and it just adds more and more to like this weirdo. I mean, like I said, hopefully this guy's just a short term. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
he's no good, but it's funny. You hear that, you laugh, but this guy's awful, and it's really fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, and he got the vote of every single Republican.
Yeah, every Republican, every so-called Republican, anti-Trump Republican, or whatever.
Yeah, moderate Republicans
happy to vote for this guy.
Yeah, and this is all stuff they knew about him. They all knew he was like this virulent, kind of like anti-choice person.
If you want to learn about what my politics are or what I believe, pick up the Bible.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Like, ridiculous. Like, really, you just said that?
Especially the chapters about loins.
Dad, why do you keep reading the chapters about loins, Dad? Son, get to my study. I said that he's the dad from that show Moral Oral that used to be on Cartoon Network on Adult. Yeah. The dad was having a weird affair with the male gym teacher.
Yes, he was like closeted and abusive and alcoholic.
Drunk, and he would tell his son every episode, he'd be like, "Come to my study."
Yeah.
Yeah, that show was great. The kid was good. So, naive and stupid. But I just thought about that, and I posted that picture and said, Mike Johnson's the dad from Moral Oral. Some people got the joke and were like, wow, that's 100% accurate.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just a creep. I'm sorry, but what was it? The wife works at a conversion therapy place?
The wife is a conversion therapy counselor. They say he has no bank account. All this money comes into his house.
I'm glad you brought that up. That was the only thing we wanted to make sure we brought that up.
Yeah.
Okay, so he claims that he has no bank account, which sounds like he's trying to act like, well, I'm not this rich guy, or they make a decent salary congressman. They make now the thing is, you gotta remember, they have to have 2 residencies. They have to have one in the state they live in, and they have to have one in the state that in Washington. So for congressmen, people like AOC, that sucks because Washington's super expensive.
Yeah.
And she lives in even with the Bronx, I think. What is she? That's her district, I think. Even that's still expensive. So she makes a good amount of money, but that's a lot of money. But he's claiming that he's just this average person. But to me, it's what do you mean you don't have a bank account? What
how do you pay your mortgage? How do you pay, how do you pay your phone bill? You drive to the AT&T store with a sack of quarters? I mean, what do you mean you don't have a fucking bank account?
Talking about
how do you pay for anything?
Did he say he didn't have a savings account? He might have a checking. I don't know.
He said he didn't have a bank account. Bank account.
That's such a lie.
What do you how do you pay your water bill?
That means he must have some shady ass shit. That he has his money tied up into the church or same thing, wherever that app that he's pushing, that he is so fucking shady. He's dodging taxes or something.
Yeah. There's something's fucked up with that. You can't, even very, very, very broke people have bank accounts. They just do. You know what I mean?
They can use the ATM.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such bullshit. That's such a lie. That's you hear that on the surface, and it's supposed to sound like he's like me.
Yeah,
are you boxcar hobo who lives off the grid. I mean, like, what the fuck? No, he's not like you. He's a lying piece of shit.
Yeah. Right.
Like that should be investigated like immediately. Like I should
Yeah.
be looking at like, what do you mean you don't have a bank account? That's
Yeah.
you have like
Put it
an
on the road.
off. Oh, you meant offshore bank account? Oh, I forgot. I meant to say I have an
Oh,
offshore.
you meant American bank account.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have one in the Caribbean. You remember that Simpsons episode with like I don't know, was it Burns or someone's accountant, and the guy answers the phone and he's like, "This is his illegal account. This is not his illegal account." The guy who's like,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, I should probably not have said." Do you
Oh
remember
shit.
that though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, God, that's so funny. He's like drinking a lemonade and all this old fat dude. Like, I
Oh,
don't know.
fuck.
The guy, more weird stories come out about this guy because
Every day.
dude, what a guy. He's got a black son who I think like he's like an adult and he has his own kids, I guess. And I don't
Yeah.
even know if he's even like considered actually part of this guy's family anymore.
No idea. Yeah. Unreal.
His kids look like there was a picture of him with his kids. They look like that you ever see that family that like sings and they go to like the ice
Yeah.
cream, ice cream, like they look like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like something awful creepy about all of them. He's sitting in the car screaming at his son, like, "You're supposed to be an alto." What was that? What's his face in Step Brothers? You ever see Step Brothers?
Yeah. With Adam Scott. And yeah.
He's like yelling at the son for not getting the part right.
They're singing that Guns N' Roses song.
Were they?
I think it was Sweet Child of Mine they were singing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
that was fun.
Yeah.
We got to talk about Sarah Huckabee's very non-symmetrical, asymmetrical. Is that the
Like a
proper
fucking
term?
Picasso painting. Yeah, it was real.
What was that? What's that guy, that famous architect that has like all the crazy twisted buildings and shit?
Oh, Escher. Yeah.
Well, you're thinking MC Escher.
Was that
No. This guy he's an architect. He actually has buildings, and they're all like he's like folded in. He's done like
I didn't talk about pay, like PEI or something.
Hold on, let me.
I am Pay, I think his name is.
I don't think that's it either. Frank Lloyd Wright? No,
that shouldn't be.
Frank Geary? Maybe it's him.
I don't know.
Whatever. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, so it's like buildings like this.
Oh yeah.
Who is that?
I would have guessed I am Pay. I think he did the
Frank. No, it's Frank Geary.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I mean that joke. I wish I knew the. I'm no Dennis Miller. Sorry, I have these like ready to go. You know, like these quips.
Arcane reference. Yeah.
Bring it up like old time. Oscar Wilde and that. I don't know. What did he say? You had one. There's like one that he like. You know what I'm talking? I swear you had like a Miller one.
Like, I know I have. I mean,
like one of his little bullshit things you do. Like, oh, he's really intelligent. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.